Western Visayas Transport Summit. Game Salinas ng GMA Regional TV, GMA Integrated News. Game Pasok. Posibleng umabot sa 60 centavos hanggang 80 centavos ang bawas presyo sa kada litro ng gasolina at diesel. Posible ring kaplasan ang presyo ng kerosene ng iba pang kumpanya ng langis. Tumaas ang presyo na mahigit 100 Noche Buena items kumpara nung nakaraang taon. Ito'y batay po sa inilabas na Noche Buena Price Guide, list ng Department of Trade and Industry.
こちらを受け取ってください。
Sa 236 na produkto ang meron pong dagdag presyo. Wala namang pag-alaw sa 121 Noche Buena items habang may 13 meron pong bawas presyo. Epektibo ang Noche Buena Price Guide list ng DTI hanggang December 31. Sako po dito yung mga produktong hamon. Meron kayong pambili, queso de bola, fruit cocktail, queso, wala pong bonus, ayuda, mayonnaise, all-purpose cream, sandwich spread, pasta, spaghetti noodles, elbow macaroni, may ginagawa sopas, salad, tomato sauce, salad macaroni at spaghetti sauce. Samantalang, bentahan ng Noche Buena items sa General Santos City matumal o matumal pa sa ngayon. Wala pang pambili ang tao. Oreste Jun Pandamo na Super Radio Jensen. Jun, pasok! Super Radio.
Joel at Milo, matumal tayo ang bintahan ng Noche Buena item dito sa Jenta. At sa unang linggo po ng Disyembre, ito nasa bibinta sa mga mamimili. Bibinta. Sa mga vendor.
Dubinta. Dubinta. Ay, okay. Wait, ito. Dalawa to. Daming version niya rin.
Ay malakas na ang kanilang binta tulad ng mga
Dubinta. Dubinta. Dubinta.
Ang oras po natin alas 7:52. Epektibo na simulang kahapon ang dagdag sahod sa mga minimum wage earners sa Western Visayas. Ayon sa Department of Labor and Employment Region 6, aabot sa 33 pesos hanggang 40 pesos ang dagdag sa arawang sweldo sa rehiyon. Para sa sektor ng agrikultura, nasa 480 pesos na ang minimum wage habang sa non-agricultural sector nasa 485 pesos. Ang minimum wage sa mga kumpanyang hindi lalagpas sa 10 ang empleyado. Kapag lagpas sa 10 ang manggagawa, ay nasa 513 pesos ang daily minimum wage. Epektibo na rin ang 1,000 pesos na dagdag na buwan ng sweldo ng mga kasambahay sa Western Visayas. Kaya aabot na sa 6,000 pesos ang kanilang month. Diyos ko naman, epektibo bukas, November 19 ang toll hike sa Subic Clark Tarlac Expressway o SCTEX. Ayon sa NLEX Corporation, 64 centavos kada kilometro. Ang dagdag toll para sa Class 1 vehicles, 1 peso and 29 centavos naman sa Class 2 at 1 peso and 93 centavos sa Class 3 vehicles. Sinabi po ng Toll Regulatory Board na ito'y bahagi ng inaprobahan periodic adjustment ng SC-TEX. Dapat ipinatupad pa noong 2021 at 2023 pero ipinagpaliban at hinati ito sa tatlong hulugan, mga kapuso. Samantala, epektibo na sa Miyerkules, November 20 ang dagdag toll sa Muntinlupa Cavite Expressway o MCX. Tataas po ng 3 pesos ang toll sa Class 1 vehicle. Kaya magiging 22 pesos na po ang toll mula sa kasalukuyang 19 pesos. 4 pesos naman ang dagdag toll sa Class 2 vehicles, kaya magiging 43 pesos na ito para sa mula ho sa dating 39 pesos. At 7 piso naman ang dagdag toll sa Class 3 vehicles, kaya magiging 65 pesos na po ito. Dati po ay 58 pesos lamang.
Binigyang pagkilala sa Asian Heroes 2024 ang ilang natatanging individual para sa kanilang ambag sa lipunan. Apat na pong personalidad ang kinilala bilang modern day heroes. Kabilang dito si Florencia Gozon Cariela para sa kanyang ambag sa larangan ng banking at community development. Ang kanyang anak na si Tricia Flor Cariela Valderrama ang tumanggap ng parangal. Ito ang Super Balita sa Umaga. Baba naman. Buhay pa tayo. At so far, wala pang narinig na casualty. Kanina, wala pero yung direkta, wala pa.
Salamat po sa inyo at alam mo, nilikha ng Panginoon na Sierra Madre. Dahil alam niya na ito.
Ito yung mga yung Sierra Madre.
Huwag ko na pakantahin. Masama na nga.
Yung Sierra Madre na yan, ang haba niya na.
Hindi, yung range yan, yung Sierra Madre range po yan. Ito yung nilikha ng Panginoon para basagin po.
Tama.
Ang mga ganitong klase ng water.
Tama.
So, thank you Lord. Sana po, tama na muna. At siguro, nabigyan na tayo ng aral doon sa ating pagpapabaya sa kalikasan. Yan ito ang tayo ng climate change.
Pagpapabaya sa kalikasan at pagsira sa kalikasan.
Sa
Yan
kalikasan.
pong Sierra Madre na yan na ating barrier, tatawagin. Huwag nating salaulain dahil marami na rin napapabalita dyan na talamak dyan ang illegal logging.
Hindi pa rin ba natatapos sa illegal logging dyan? Mismo naman. Ayan po sa sisip-sip po sa tubig ulan.
Yan ang babasag.
Yan ang babasag po sa
Mabasag sa
kaya hindi
bagyo.
tayo masyadong tinamangan yung cone of uncertainty. Di ba ba yun, Barry?
Naririnig natin yung bago yun.
Bagong katawagan yung sa pag-asa.
Pag-asa.
Halos buong Luzon po ang apektado po ng pipito.
Narinig mo yan?
Narinig
mo yan?
Ng Sierra Madre.
Ganong kalupit.
Huwag tayong papakampante po.
Ganong kalupit ang Sierra Madre.
Yan po ang dapat nating tandaan. Importante po, nakahanda tayo.
Mabuti na yung sobrang paghahanda kaysa sa kulam, di ba?
It's better to err on the side of caution, sabi mo. Mahirap na. Baka naman ma-achimpuhan tayo.
Safe than sorry tayo.
Baka ma-achimpuhan tayo.
Yaman. Mahirap pa tsamba. Balikan natin mga headlines. Babala ng bagyo, nakataas pa rin sa ilang lugar. Bagyong Pepito, inaasang lalabas ng Philippine Air of Responsibility ngayong umaga o sa tanghali.
Yan pa sa 2 milyon na individual sa iba't ibang reyon na apektuhan ng bagyong Pepito ayon sa Office of Civil Defense.
Lalawigan ng Catanduanes na puruhan ng bagyong Pepito. Pagkumpuni sa mga nasirang linya ng kuryente, posibleng abutin po na 1 hanggang 2 buwan.
Philippine Coast Guard nakahanda na para maghatid ng tulong sa mga lugar na hinagupit ng bagyong Pepito.
Ay, hindi pwede.
Sa produktong petrolyo, inaasahan bukas.
Presyo na mahigit sa 100 Noche Buwan.
Kasi marami siyang version.
Nabatay sa nilabas na price guidelines ng Department of Trade and Industry.
Dagdag toll sa Subic Clark Tarlac Expressway, epektibo na bukas. Toll hike sa Muntinlupa Cavite Expressway, patutupad naman sa November 20.
Dagdag sahod sa mga minimum wage earners sa Western Visayas. Epektibo na simula kahapon ayon sa Department of Labor and Employment.
Sa kasa.
37 days
Sojo.
Pasko na, lapit na mga kapuso. Sana po bago ho, tuloy ang
Tama!
nausan ng bagyo para makabangon tayo unti-unti.
Tama, tama!
Nasa lantahunan nga. Ang daming bagyong daan, mga kapuso.
Yung iba pa naglalagay na ng ano yun, yung Christmas lights, pero maraming lugar wala pong kuryente.
Yun.
Hanggang ngayon.
Katanduanis po, yung inyong pang sinira po. Isa, 2 buwan daw po sila bago magkaroon ng kuryente, mga kapuso.
Tama! Tama!
Viewing
Tama!
sa Columbus, Torre, Laguna, 18380, headed by Knight, Greg Knight, Brock, Strong, Madria. Ino, kumusta kayo dyan?
Ayun, o.
Ayan na po. At sumayin niyo po ang kabuuan ng mas pinalawak, mas pinalakas. Super balita sa mga nationwide. Ako po ang inyong kapuso, Melo Baltay.
Pakita walang kinikilig lang, walang pinoprotektahan sa vision. Totoo lamang, ako po inyong kapuso, Joel Reyes Real. Magandang umaga Luzon, magandang umaga Visayas, magandang umaga Mindanao. Radyo na, labanan ng fake news.
Dapat totoo.
Super Balita sa Umaga, nationwide, mula sa pinakapinagkakatiwalaang network sa buong Pilipinas, ang GMA. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas!
Nagming sabi ni kanina ni Joel, salamat tayo, meron tayong Sierra Madre. Sabi niya, pasalamat tayo, meron tayong Sierra Madre. Alagaan natin. Alagaan natin. Huwag natin pababayaan.
Manuot naman siya. Pinashing na, kinuskus mo pa. Switch to New Oil Power Liquid. 15 minutes lang. Bilis linis ang tansya. No more to sauce sa washing machine. 750 lang per wash. Ang New Oil Liquid. Nido Jr. For toddlers 1-year-old, 2 years old, and up to 3 years old. With probiotics and DHA. Nido Jr. The use of milk supplements must only be upon the advice of a health professional. The unnecessary and improper use of this product may be dangerous to your child's health.
Sige, mga binunod. Tawa na lang kayo. Mamaya, mga alaala na lang kayo.
Si, ano pangalan? Ayun, monastery.
今日もテストをしてもらうわ。今回は英語に。せーの。ブーブー。だから一人だけブーイングしても無駄。ユキ？なんで一緒にやってくれなかったんだよ。せーのってタイミング取ってやったのに。やると思うか？私の中ではユッキーも一緒にやるってなってたんだよ。お前の中だけでなるなよ。私は私の意志で生きてるんだよ。そこデフェリンか。それイラッとするからやめてくれ。私の中で流行ってんだよ。ユッキーの前でやらなくて誰の前でやるんだよ。誰の前でもやるな。封印しろ。誰も得しない。二度とするな。そこ話は終わりましたか？はーい。将来的に軍事行動中に英語を利用する可能性は大いにあるが、日々学習が必要だ。とはいえ今はあなたたちのレベルを測るだけだから、結果は気にせずチャレンジしてみた。はい、始め。次の分で同じ意味になるように学校内に還元とちょっと日本語 入れたらダメだ。あかんの？こっちにもバカがいたよ。はい、そこまで。やっと終わった。やだ。ユッキー、これからどうするの？カラオケ寄ってストレス発散してかない？そんな学園ドラマのような世界観じゃないから。
bago sila magkaroon ng uli ng kuryente, no? Dahil nga lahat ng dinaanan nitong Typhoon Pepito na ito na malayo-landa ang lakas ay winalis. Mga kapuso,
日々この瞬間のために生きてる。
mga kapuso,
今日は何食べようかな。
napinsala po ng hangin yung mga bahay, puno, tanim, lahat ng pwedeng likarin nilipad.
一緒にカフェテリアに行かない？
Bagyong ito, pero kung susumahin mo, marami ka tayong dapat ipagpasalamat.
いけないことをしよう。
Sierra Madre Mountain Ranges.
何言っているの？
Siya po ang bumasag dito po
Yeah.
sa bagyong ito. Kaya yung cone of uncertainty lumiit. Kasi yung ano
Siya ni
halos
ite
yung
kurero
dapat
no?
ang cover dito doon sa
行く行く。
larawan ng pag-asa. Pero
Tension
dahil
高め。
nakasag po ito, humina, hindi hulubos na nakapaminsala.
コレリンは何食べるの？ ルカさんは
Salamatin tayo
一緒のにして仲を深める。
proactive yung kilos ng gobyerno ngayon. Naging preemptive ang
Kore.
lahat. Kaya pati yung partisipasyon at kooperasyon ng mga
Isa ka.
mamamayan pag sinabi ng gobyerno
確
ngayon,
か
of
に
course,
一緒に食べ
evacuation
られ
pa
る
ngayon.
ね。
Sumusunod na sila.
Dito natin
Siya,
nakikita talaga yung
Itoride
tunay
taberu.
na
Ano tsumory datta no da kedo.
Naman.
Oo, talagang pinuwersa ho silang tanggalin po sa mga lugar.
Salamat na rin yung mga
Sarada
kababayan
to ba?
natin dahil magkakasunod,
Kore dake da
magkakasabay,
kedo.
nagdudugtong
Ja,
ang mga
watashi
bagyo
mo
sa loob ng
susutsu.
Philippine Air Responsibility. So yung takot, yung
な
trauma
んか
ay
見
nandun.
た目
Kaya
すごくシンプルなピザだ
dapat
ね。
maging template natin ito,
最
Joel.
もポピュラーなマルゲリータだけど、ルカさんは食べたことないの？私がよく食べてたのは照り焼きチキンとか炭火焼きビーフやカルビが乗ったピザ。肉好きなのね。だって元気の源じゃん。じゃあこれはお口に合わないかな。食べてみる。いただきます。シンプルなだけに生地とチーズの味がしっかり楽しめる。うまい。だったらよかった。いただきます。なかなか。しかもそれを一人で1枚食べるというこの背徳感もいい。ハッシュドポテトもつけたらよかったかも。それはさらに背徳感が増していいね。今度やってみよっと。めっちゃ仲が深まった。そうね。
Pero may araw na nakahapon po.
Yung devastation, ngayon natin makikita, di ba, Joel, yung a day after, ano po ang lagay na katanduanes? Yung nakikita niyo, Governor, pwede yung bumukidalarawan sa amin.
Yung bagyong
よっしゃ。パッとアリーナ行ってカッとバトルして終わりだ。
with ngayon pa lang magiging possible.
おいタマ、今日の訓練うちと一緒にタッグ組まへんか？悪いようにはせんで。ルカさん、やっと来た。みんなで待ってたの。早くアリーナ行こ
pero yung data kung ilan ang external gamit, wala pang mga report dahil wala mga
準備できたら行こう。
nakakapagbigay ng mga picture
ルカさん、ちょっと聞きたいことがあるのだけど、スキルを合わせに来てくれるじゃない？あれってどうやってるの？ そんな適当でよく合わせてくるわね。クラスにいるわよね。そういう何でもしれっとやってくる子。
nasirang mga tanim ng probinsya.
Wala pa pero we have financial update ng kahapon total more than 100,000 individuals apektado na.
今日もアリーナでキャンサーと戦ってもらいます。
Ano bang tanim nyo dyan? Ano bang kinabubuhay natin mga kababayan dyan? Island province kasi ito eh. Ano ba yan? Mga mangingisda, magsasaka. Governor.
Coastal area, may stop yun at yung
そうでも言うと思ったか。そんなガキみたいに毎回はしゃがねえよ。東電もの前が聞こえなかったの。
Yung mga tanim natin, baka dyan.
待ってましたと
Kamusta
心
naman?
で思っただけだから。
Joel,
クルパーカー。またキレさせやがった。許してやってくれよ。これでもこいつコーンポタージュ缶のコーンを飲み干すのだけなのにいいんだ。
Nakakapangamba sa akin, Joel,
だ
na
から私を
Governor,
かばうなよ。 怒られて
balita,
るのはお前
impormasyon
だ
na
よ。
pang 2 days na lang
コ
daw
ーンポ
yung
タージュ缶のコーン
relief
残り
goods
まくる
dyan
よ。
po sa inyong lugar.
Nanase,
Tama po ba? And
ato
ito
na
po
sa
ba'y
Suprema
coordinated
Ulitan.
na sa national
Ay.
government agencies?
今日戦う相手は昨日以上に強力です。一度外角を破壊しても回復されてしまう恐れがあります。外角を破壊した後、一気に畳みかけられるよう力をコントロールしながら戦ってください。すごいゲームみたい。いや、戦術と捉える命がけなんだぞ。力をそんな戦術言うわ。サイキックだけで十分だ。素直に言うこと聞けよ。そもそもサイキック戦闘に生かせてないだろ。今回の訓練にも目標時間が設定されています。達成に向けて頑張りましょう。ではそれぞれ電子軍人手帳をかざしてセラフィムコードを唱えてください。
relief goods from DSWD, kaya makakatulong na po yun sa amin.
Eh, yung pondo po, Governor, paano yung tutugunan? Nag-commit po ba ang national government na bigyan kayo kahit pa paano ng dagdag na pondo pang quick response fund po ninyo?
Yun nga po, siguro, makapagaling bigyan kami ng kasi sa Malacanang. Yung 50 million.
みんな冷静にな。皆さんで次はわしがやる。私も待ってないで。ええじゃん。このチャンス逃がさへん。これでなんとかならない？使わせてもらうぜ。よっこらしょっと。想定通りに入るはいよっと。
Sana yun ang panawagan namin na through OCD, nabigyan kami ng pondo o materials na lang, kahit materials na lang para maibigay natin kaagad sa
Kaya naman kayo ngayon ng materials na magpapadala daw po ang national government ng materials po dyan. Pero syempre alam natin na it will never be enough.
Correct.
Meron pa tayong mga hardware stores na pwedeng bilan natin mga kababayan na
O sila din ay nasira.
有意義な戦いだったんじゃねえか。
stores po dyan.
さらに有能になっちゃったみたいね。
hindi masyado tinamaan, yung modern pump lang po tinamaan. Pero of course, ang problema po hindi yung stock, hindi ang problema yung pambili. Kaya kailangan natin ayusin from national government.
Kaya kailangan yung pondo from here para may pangbili sila. Governor, yung kuryente, yung isa pa yung malaking problema sa inyo kasi ang balita,
目標
about 2
時間
months pa na, Joel, bago po
やるな私たち。
Oo, ang supply po
チ
ng
ームワーク
kuryente.
も噛み合ってきたみたいだな。やってりました。私の計算通りには全くいっていないけど結果オーライね。だったらその計算いらないだろ。もう何も考えずに戦えよ。でも試験まで気を抜かないようにしなくちゃ。そう、そもそものダメージ値を入れておくに越したことはない。この結果に気を抜かず自由時間の訓練を欠かさないようにしなさい。分かった。これまで以上に瞑想にも励まんとあかんな。そんなんで強くなるから世話ねえだろ。はっ、うちを誰やと思うのか。サイキックはね生かせてないだろ。ユッキー、私らに任せとけ。私とメグ
Ito
ミは
mahalaga rin sino
共に
siyempre,
サイキック
Governor
の能
Joel,
力を
yung
駆使す
basta
れば
wala pong
怖いものな
isolated
しだ。
na lugar, yung hindi sila matataan, pwedeng makadaan ng relief goods at iba pang tulong, mas madali po ang pag-recover pag gano'n eh, kaysa yung putol-putol ang tuloy mo,
あ
di
り
ba,
ロ
Joel?
ッカーでありサイキッカーでもありだ。
Governor, hindi naman po problema yun ngayon sa Catanduanes.
なんだよ。お前らの間で何の争いが巻き起こってんだよ。適正試験まであと2日。気を抜かないように。本日は以上です。お疲れ様でした。
Pero kaagad naman dito sa Catanduanes, so yung barangay officials, mga Kanon, karamihan mga ano lang naman yung mga natumbang kahoy ang outcast ng kalsada.
O sige, abangan namin, Governor, ang mga developments. In the meantime, are there any more concerns na kailangan nyo ipaabot po sa national government? Nasa inyo po pagkakataon?
Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Wayne, sa pagtawag sa pamamagitan ng iyong programa. Makaabot sa national government at sa mga gustong tumulong sa Catanduanes. Kami po ay open, hindi ng tulong dahil kailangan pa naman ng tulong.
Alright. Gong, salamat. Mag-ingat kayo.
Ingat po kayo. Thank you, sir.
Salamat po po.
Governor Joseph Cua, Catanduanes, mga kapuso.
Taxi sa Double B!
Alamin natin.
Nakita mo yung devastation sa Catanduanes. Walang natir, parang
Uy,
walang halos natirang bubong.
Talagang pati yung mga pundasyon.
Oo,
Sira.
P2P eh.
Nasa linya na natin si Undersecretary Ariel Nepomuceno, Office of Civil Defense Administrator. Siya rin po Executive Director ng NDRRMCU. Sa Ariel, magandang umaga si Joel Siweng.
Sir, good morning.
Magandang umaga po, Sir Joel.
Is itong
Meron na kayo. Oo nga, walang pahinga. Buti may boses ka pa. Oo nga, pero Yusek, pinakahuli kasi na naibalita namin sa super balita sa umaga, 2 milyong individual ang apektado sa iba't ibang rehiyon ng bansa nitong bagyong Pepito. May bagong numero ka naman dyan?
Halos ganun pa rin naman, 2,165,896 affected individual.
May casualties na.
Yung umaga po yan.
May casualties na tayo, Yusek? Huwag naman po sa...
Sa ngayon naman po ang magandang balita, wala pa naman po talaga. Kaya lang, merong nalulungkot nga kami, may 3 nawawala tayong kababayan sa Nueva Ecija. Tulad sa amin ng regional director namin doon. Although of course, again, binabalidate niya. Kaya lang, nawala sila dun sa kinatitirikan ng bahay nila sa may gilid ng ilog. At ang ulo sa amin, sinubukan naman doon ng mga police. Di pa tayo sigurado sa report na sila papunta sa evacuation center at yun nga, nagka-flash flood doon. Sina nga yung 3 magpamilya po yan, yung mag-asawa at anak nila. Ay, po natin yung validation ng reports.
Ano nangyari, Yusek, doon sa force evacuation natin?
Yun nga po kaya nga po dapat yun at pinwerto ko yun doon. Kaya tinupo natin yung detalye kung bakit nandun pa sila sa gilid ng ilog.
Danger zone pa naman yung lugar nila, Yusek.
Oo, alam nyo, kahit napapagod kami, okay lang, pero nakakalungkot. Doon na kami parang napapagod pag yun. Meron di sumunod eh.
Mas naging casualty pa ano po. Pero Yusek, ang malaking problema ngayon doon sa Catanduanes, kanina narinig niyo naman ang apila ni Governor Cua. At ang okay na may dumating ng relief goods, di ba may C-130 na, may paparating pa na nakabarko. Pero yung pondo daw po nila ay kulang na po at humihingi po sila ng immediate assistance para po doon sa pagtumpuri ng mga bahay at infrastruktura na nasira.
Sila po ang pinaka-matinding Pepito, nung kalakasan pa ng Pepito, sila yung corrected kagad. Nung dumating yung Pepito sa mainland dito, kahit pa paano humina, although na mabahala kami ng dahil yung mga dadaanan ng Pepito, yan din ho yung mga tinamaanan ng 6 na bagyo bago pa yung Pepito. So, worry tayo dyan. So, para dyan sa Catanduanes, yan mo ka focus na attention namin ngayon, yung instruction sa amin din ni Secretary Pedoro. So, ngayon yan, may mga pinapunta ko kami dyan. Mamaya lang, pati yung aming ibagay area of surveillance po yan para matignan natin kabuuan. At tuloy-tuloy naman po yung pagtulong sa kanila. Kasama na nga po yan yung pagkumpuni ng mga kabahayan nila dahil nakita namin ulat. Talagang napakaraming nawasak ng mga bahay,
呼ばれたから来たが、ただの食事会か。そんなの、私は軽食で済ませる。帰っていいさ。
Importante rin yung kanilang kuryente.
部隊が集まるのは当然だろう。何勝手なこと言ってやがる。そうに。
Ang kuryente po doon sa probinsya.
あの人の制服部隊。まあまあ、皆さん、仲良くやりましょう。そういうてめえが部隊長なんだから、もっとしっかりまとめろ、葵。言いたいことはもっとビシッと。
まだ日が浅いですし、さすがに言い過ぎでは。
tinitingnan dyan kung safe talaga
Ay,
bago
gusto
talaga
na.
balik yung kuryente.
もっと亀裂が生じてくれないものかな。
Talagang wasak po yan, pati mga
なん
cable.
だか前途多難そうな舞
Malaki-malaki,
台。
ano to, para kang building from the ground ulit, Yusek, ano, yung kanilang energy infrastructure. Kasi puro poste po yung winasak. Pero maliban po doon, ang concern nila, di ba, Joel, sabi nga ni Governor kanina,
Pera, pondo.
oo, meron po silang mabibilhan ng mga gamit. Nasa birak kasi hindi natutukan yun ng bagyo, pero wala po silang pambili.
Ang sigurado po ako ng Office of the President, magbibigay po yan ng pagtulong na direkta po sa probinsya. Ganun naman po yung ginagawa ni Pangulong Bongbong. So, bibigyan lang namin ulat sa kanila na gawa naman na po yun at yan ay gagamitin po yan ng Office of the President bilang basihan kung paano po yung pondong ibibigay sa kanila. At bukod naman doon, may kanya-kanyang programa po. Alibawa ang ISU, sila Secretary of SAC, meron silang programa sa partial damage, 10,000, pag damage, talagang wasak talaga, 30,000. Although, alam natin, maaaring hindi po 100% kapag po yung ibalit din po yung kaya ng pamahalaan ng pagtulong sa ngayon. At kami naman, naragdagan na lang po namin sa Office of Civil Defense, meron naman po kami mga repair kit at sa mga ice sheets na sinigurado namin yung makakapag po yung page 24 para talagang matulungan sila kahit na yung maninipis na yero. Yan, magpapadala po namin target yan. Sabi naman po ng pag-asa, kung sana po talagang magpapatao yung claim mo po kasi hindi natin mapulbig. Meron naman daw po kaming 2 linggo kahit pa paano hindi magpahinga. Walang abala sa pagtulong po natin dyan sa lugar. Yung mga barko, mga karating. Yun naman po maganda.
Wala naman tayo nakikita ng weather system pa, no? Sana wag na.
Ano, wala pa.
Okay.
Maganda naman po, bukas naman po yung seaport ng Iraq at yung airport ng Manila nagagamit na. Hindi kagaya po sa Patanis, talaga nagarapan po tayo doon sa mga malalakas na hangin. Ito lang naman.
Doon sa mahigit sa 2 milyong individual na apektado po na mga kababayan po natin sa iba't ibang rehiyon. Ilan doon ang nasa evacuation centers, Yusek?
So maraming rehiyon, ang mga individual na nasa loob ng evacuation centers, 484,535. Marami pa rin o halos sa nating milyon na po yan. In terms of families, 116,867 families po yan. Kapag naman po yung natin, yung ginagawa ng DSWD ng mga family food pack at yung hygiene kits namin sa OCD at medical kits ng Department of Health. Ngayon, talaga lang po pagkain. Ganun po talaga. Hindi po convenience kahit anong tulong ang gawin natin dyan. Alam naman po natin po convenience sa loob. Suwalit pinagsisikapan naman po yan lalo na ng DSWD.
Maliban po sa Catanduanes, kahit ang Aurora, di ba binayo din? Ano po ang lagay sa Aurora?
Dahil late last night po, kanina madaling araw po, hihintay po namin yung actual na report ngayong alas 9. Subalit kagabi at kanina madaling araw, nakita na rin namin yung bayo ng malakas na hangin dyan. Subalit maganda naman po, although malakas yan, hindi naman po kasi napakalakas ng ulan at hangin kagaya ng po ng Philippines. Buti na lang po hindi ganun. Subalit hintay po namin yung ulan, lalo na po yung galing sa pagbigayaran dahil po doon natatakot kami dyan dahil landslide ng area. Yeah. Hinintay namin yung pag-uulat na yung Tuesday po.
Alright, sige. Babalikan po namin kay Yusek maya-maya para makuha namin yung kompletong picture ng naging sala na dulot po ng bagyong Pepito.
Particular ka sa Aurora. Sige. Ito lang, Yusek, kasi uusapan ngayon, I think pumasa na yata sa ikatlong huling pagbasa sa Kamara. Yung Department of Disaster Resilience, paano ba mapapabuti nitong paglikha ng isang departamento yung pagtulong po natin at pagtugon natin sa mga, kasi mukhang way of life na po ng mga Pilipino ay dinadaanan tayo ng bagyo na magkakasama.
Ano kumbaga, Joel, ano pa yung nagagawa ng departamento na hindi nagagawa ng OCD at
Kasalukuyang
NDRC?
setup ngayon, di ba? Yusek, ano bang maitutulong dito?
Tumulong at ito po, Sir John Mangway. Yung usapin po na yan, ang usapan po namin ni Secretary Chidoro, itinitiwala na lang po namin sa Kongreso dahil mahaba pa rin po yan. Meanwhile, kung ano po yung kakayanan, kakulangan na rin po sa parent set, pinagpubuti na lang po namin yung trabaho. Kongreso tungkol dyan. Sinabi ko na lang, tingnan natin yung mga nasa ibang bansa kung paano nila ginagawa. Doon po talagang mga departamento na po at ministry, ano. Dito naman po, ang kagandahan naman sa isang banda, dahil kami nasa ilalim ng National Defense Department, nagagamit din natin yung
でしたか
facilidad automatic ng
たっ
DND.
ぷり稼いできやがってくださいね
Hinihintay na lang din po namin ano magiging disposition po ng mga nag-uusap po dyan sa Kongreso at sa lower house at upper house po talaga.
So sige, abangan namin yung, mga bagong datos yung second meantime. Salamat sa oras mo, mag-ingat ka.
Sir, thank you.
Salamat din po.
Good morning.
Secretary Ariel Nepomuceno, Office of Civil Defense Administrator, Executive Director ng NDRRMC. Sa ating pagbabalik ang bagong-bagong balita, ang oras po natin, alas 8:24. Radyo na,
TV pa.
abangan na fake news.
Dapat totoo.
GPU をお渡しさせていただきます。起動準備するので少々お待ちください。
Campaign. Parang ang daling sumabay sa agos ng kung ano ang sikat, kung ano ang viral. Para sa akin, mas malaking issue natin.
一気に片付けるぞ。
Issues na talagang kailangan malaman.
ほらよ。 そう。気合い入れろや。じゃさやって。私に任せな。手放せない。あんた張り切りすぎんだよ。よし、チャンスだ。みんなにこの力を使わせてもらうぜ。開けろ。いけるかもしれない。ほらよ。頑張りどころね。そうだ。外からね。私に任せな。さすが。一気に畳みかけようぜ。黙らせたる。わしもやりたい。刺激だ。想定通りに排除完了っと。
alas 8:28.
Mga balita hindi mo dapat palagpasin. Mga impormasyon bago at totoo. Dito sa Double B, bagong bandito. Samahan sina Joel Venezuela at Rowena Salvacion sa Double B, bagong bandito.
みんな冷静にな。
Araw ng Lunes, ikalabigay sa kanang Nobyembre, taong 2024, narito ang mga balitang hindi pa yun. Hindi yung kaibigan, ako po nakapuso, Joel Venezuela.
At mga balitang siksik sa impormasyon, ako naman ang inyong kapuso, Rowena Salvacion.
Samahan niyo po kami, dito lamang sa...
次はわしがやる。なりそうや。切り刻む。あんた張り切りすぎんだよ。
Sa Ilagang Luzon at Gitang Luzon dahil po sa epekto ng bagyong
やっ
Pipito.
ちゃうやっちゃうや。
Sa pagkakasentro ng bagyong Pipito ay nasa West
使
Philippine
わ
Sea.
せてもらうぜ。よっこらしゅっと。すごい。ほら
Ang
よ。
bagyo ang Hilaga at Gitnang Luzon kaya makararanas pa rin malalakas na mga hangin at pag-ulan.
よし、
Last
チャン
day
ス
dyan
だ。
sa storm surge o yung pamilyon sa mga
気には
bangkay
させ
ng
ね
Ilocos Sur, Pangasinan, Aurora, Ilocos Norte, Isabela at Zambales.
チャンスだ。
Inaasahan namang lalabas na ng Philippine Air Responsibility ang bagyong Pipito ngayong araw.
ざっとこんなもん
Nagpapadala
だ
pa
な。
ng 20,000 hanggang 30,000 family food packs sa Catanduanes kung saan unang humagupit at naglandfall ang super typhoon Pepito. Ayon kay DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian, mas pinaigting nila ang relief operations sa Bicol Region at iba pang lugar na sinalantapo ng bagyo sa Luzon. Samantala na mahagi rin ng hot meals sa mga stranded na pasahero sa Matnog Port sa Sorsogon.
みんな冷静にな。
Aarangkada na ang police caravan ng Malacanang at ng Camara para sa mga nasalanta ng may nakasunod na bagyo. Ang alis ng Omega sa kataasang pambansa sa Quezon City.
資源が気合い入れろや。じゃさって。
Nagtatanong ng relief goods, hygiene kit.
次はわしがやるから。
Bahagi sa
も負けてられねえぞ。
beneficiaryo sa
す
Bicol
げえじゃ
Region.
ん。
Ulit-ulitan may 700 at 50 minuto sa laba.
よし、
Ang
チャンスだ。
pinapensya ay pagkakaloob sa mga nasalantahan ng bagyo sa ilalim ng assistance
気合い入れ。
Individuals in Crisis Situations Program ng DSWD.
Napinsala ang Police Provincial Office sa lalawigan po ng Aurora kung saan nag-landfall sa kalawang sa Pagkakataon ang super typhoon Pepito kahapon. Sa kanayan kanina kay Police Colonel Reginald Francisco, ang Police Provincial Director ng Aurora, sumangkamit sa ang malalaking alon sa kanilang kampo. Kabasag ang mga salamin sa kanilang gusali kaya nasugatan ang isa sa kanilang tauhan. Wala pa rin pong supply ng kuryente sa Aurora at ahirapan ang linya ng komunikasyon.
Galing ah.
Presidente sa lungsod ng Cabanatuan Nueva
Wow.
Ecija ang nagsinilas
Galing ah.
ng araw sa kanilang mga bahay. Dahil kay Palaman, nila nararanasan yung pagbaha.
Ay, hindi iba eh. Sa ano to, Heaven Boyfriend na to. Yung kanina yung sabi ko parang yung baliw sa akin naman sa Nike yun.
Evacuation center.
見せつけたる。
Anim na raw pamilya at mga hospital
Sa Nike yun.
individual.
Ito yung sa kanya dito naman yung personality niya pagka
Bonifacio Isla
焦らず慎重に行くぞ。黙らせたる。
Ito ang mga pangketa sala sa Baguio City ngayong araw dahil sa epekto pa ng bagyo sa
負けてられねえぞ。あんた張り切りすぎんだよ。
pero sa ngayon, uwi na po ang pag-ulan sa lungsod. Wala naman na ito ng pagbuno ng lupa at pagbaha sa lungsod pero sinistindi ang klase sa mga paaralan at birthday ang klase sa mga tanggapan ng gobyerno at
すごい。
Walang casualty na nakitala sa Ilocos Sur dahil po sa pangalasan ng
さあ、
bagyong
一気に
Pipito.
片付けるぞ。
Ron Arquilada, iniwan po ng Ilocos Sur, PDO,
風ね、分かった。
sa hangin pero walang
やるな、
masyadong
そこよ。
ulan. Nararanasan pero hanggang
Chance
ngayon
siya na?
nasa evacuation center pa rin ang mga
黙らせたる。
hindi rin umapaw ang kanilang
わ
mga
しの獲物が。
sasakyan ng mga lansangan sa Ilocos Sur.
想定通りに排除完了。有意義な戦いだったんじゃないか。
naapektuhan ng Super Typhoon Pepito sa Bicol Region. Ayon sa Task Force on Energy Resilience, kabilang pa sa nagkaaberya, ang Bacman Geothermal Power Plant, Tiwi Geothermal Plant at Biomass Power Plant. Sa ulat naman ng Department of Energy, 2 LPG refilling plant at 18 gasolinahan ang hindi operational pero kasama na rin dyan ang mga nasalanta ng nagdaang bagyo.
一気に片付けるぞ。
Sa mga tanggapan at kasunod na kritikal sa pagtugon ng kalamidad, iniutos ko ang mismo ni Pangulong Marcos na Energy Secretary Rafael Lupi. Ayon sa Pangulo dapat magpatuloy at hindi maantala ang operasyon na matanggapan ng gobyerno at makalakal ang pamahalaan dahil malaki ang kanilang
なんか張り切りすぎんだよ
mga nasa lanta ng bagyo.
よしチャンスだ
Nasunog sa Ezekiel Torres Arena Manalo Street dyan po sa Marikina City. Ito na sa unang alarm na kanina alas 6:21 ng umaga. Mabilis namang nakaresponde ang mga bombero kaya hindi na pumalat ang apoy at idinaklarang under control kanina alas 6:28 ng umaga bago na apula ang ganito alas 7:14 ng umaga. Wala naman ang subanan, panasaktan dyan po sa sunog.
いいんじゃないほらいい気が逃げれたもしれない触らせたら
Sa lanta ng bagyo sa Isabela, Cagayan, Camarines Norte at
この
Quirino.
華麗なやり方
Ayon
こ
po
そ
nito, agad na may
カ
balik
レ
ang
ンち
supply
ゃん
ng
の
kuryente
美
sa mga
学
nasalantang lugar. Inaasahan sa loob ng 3 hanggang 5 araw, matatapos ang rehabilitasyon at power restoration, depende naman kung hindi pa humupa ang baha sa lugar. Samantala, mga report sa ating mga Super Radio reporters.
Unahin natin si CJ Torida ng GMA Regional TV at GMA Integrated News. Lalawigan ka ng Pangasinan. Nagdamag ka rin ng malakas na ating aksyonan. CJ, magandang umaga.
やるな一気に畳みかけようぜ好きにはさせへんでわしもやりたい刺激がざっとこんなもんだな
Nangangambaraw ang mga evacuees sa posibleng pagtaas ng antas ng tubig sa ilog sa kanilang lugar dahil na rin sa walang humpay na buhos ng ulan. Sa ngayon, Weng Joel, nag-aalerto pa rin ang mga otoridad dito sa Pangasinan at patuloy ang isinasagawang pagkahanap
一気に片付けるぞ
ng lugar na pamahalaan para makapagpapatuloy
ほらよ
ang mga residente at estado ng bagyong Pepito. Mula sa GMA Regional TV at GMA Integrated
食
News,
材は
ako
う
si
ちに
TJ
ない
Torida
見
nag-uulat
せつ
para
け
sa
たる
Radyo.
見させてね
Totoo.
Samantala, lalawigan po ng Pangasinan, nagdamag na bilayo ng malakas na hangin at ulan.
ええじゃん
Ay, sumali ka pa sila. Sorry.
やっちゃうやっちゃうやらせて
Balik normal na ngayong araw. Sumali na Los Angeles.
逃げれたもしれないほらよさあ一気に畳みかけようぜそうもらったさすがだよその調子だチャンスだ好きにはさせへんで想定通りに入る完了と
kasama sa wala pang biyahe ngayong umaga ay ang bahagi ng Pagkatao sa Camarines Sur. Ako si Manny Bandas ng GMA Super Radio DCWD. Dapat
At yan ang Double B bagong-bagong balita. Abangan ang mga dagdag pa mga detalye. Follow up sa iba pang mga programa na Super Radio DCWB. Ako po si Joel Reyes.
みんな
Ito naman po si Rowena Salvador. Magandang umaga.
どうだ当たれうりゃ 食材は見せつけたる好きにはさせへんで
Sa sa kalidad na katulad po ng
次は
mga
わしがやる負けてられへんぞその調子で頼むぜ
Hindi po kasi pare-pareho mga generics na kapuso. Ang mga generics nakipag-partner sa malalaking pharmaceutical company sa mundo para gumawa ng mga world-class na mga gamot sa
どっから来たんだ逃げれたもしれないほらよ
ginagawa ko kanilang kilalang branded medicines. Pero pareho lang di sa ang kalidad nila yung
Ikaw,
sulit na
eh.
talaga. Ang regular sa gawa ng Pfizer
もらった。
GSK,
さすが。
Merck, Fresenius Kabi, AstraZeneca, OEP
Yes,
Philippines,
chance na.
Lundbeck, Boehringer Ingelheim at
Tama,
Mondeo.
Rastaray.
Nagpakonsulta po at kapag may reseta ang
Sino yung
doktor,
mga
piliin ang Rhea Generics. Dalhin lang po ang mga reseta sa Mercury Drug. Rhea Generics, tunay na world-class ang kalidad sa abot kayang halaga. If symptoms persist, consult
ま
your
だね
doctor.
口数いたってこと。まだまだカレンちゃんは動いてよ。
Ngayong darating pong Sabado, November 23, tara na po sa panibagong Super Barangayan. Bibisitahin ko na Super Radio DCWB 594 at Barangay LS 97.1, ang Leland Drive, Covered Court, Barangay Balonbato, Quezon City, para po sa isa na namang umaga ng kalusugan, kulitan at kasiyahan.
私らならやれるさ。
Dance Fitness kasama si Lala
Dora!
Wilson. May mga
Dora,
taro,
no?
pahat,
Dora!
at iba't ibang papremyo kasama po ang ating Super Radio DCWB actors na sina Kay Morales, Alan Bola at Rod
みんな
Vega.
冷静な。
Kasama pa ang Barangay LS 97.1 DJs na sina Lady Grass at
次はわしがやる。
ang mga bintang ng
見せて
mga
もらおうよ。あんた張り切りすぎんだよ。
Olive May. Walang po ang ating morning, kaya punta na sa mga 6:30 ng umaga sa
やっちゃう
Leland
やっ
Drive.
ちゃうや。
Barangay Balonbato, Quezon City. Kita-kits
使わせてもらうぜ。よっこらしょっと。逃げれたかもしれない。ここだ。
Sanggunang barangay ng Barangay Balonbato, Quezon City, Super Radio DCWB 594 at Barangay LS
私にお任せください。なるぜ。どうだ。この助けにはさせる。
National
Yari
Grid
na.
Corporation of the Philippines.
Chance na.
Ano ba ang kasama, well, malaman natin. Ano ba
Tiga sa
ang
hindi.
lagay ng ating mga kuryente?
わしの獲物がだ
Sa
よ。
ating mga linya dahil lapit sa mga buildings pumasok ko sa Philippine Direct Responsibility na
ざっ
nalasa.
とこんな
Ating
もん
bansa
だな。
mga kapuso.
こい
And
つ
of
はなん
course,
か手応えがある。
kaya ang halaga ng pagkain ang sinira itong mga bagyong ito.
Yung pangalan mo, maisan.
Grabe mo pa. Oo, yung iba talagang aanihin na lamang nasa lantatan mga
Oo,
kapuso.
kawawa.
National
Yun yung kawawa.
Corporation of the Philippines and NDA, Department of Agriculture sa ating pagbabalik. 841, radyo na, baba na fake news. Oh,
一気に片付けるぞ。どうだ。当たれ。あっ。そう。みんな冷静にな。黙らしたらい。次はわしがやる。見せてもらうぜ。あんた張り切りすぎんだよ。一気に攻めるぜ。これでなんとかならない？使わせてもらうぜ。くらえ。すごい。ほらよ。やるな。くそ、チャンスだ。もらった。やるな。もらった。その調子だ。チャンスじゃない？黙らしたらい。ざっとこんなもんだな。 焦らず慎重に行くぞ。そう。ほらよ。それ。
Saway at may saya.
気合い入れろや。水木にはさせへんぜ。次はわしがやる。私も負けてられへん。あんた張り切りすぎんだよ。食材はよし、チャンスだ。みんな攻めて。使わせてもらうぜ。開けろ。逃げれたかもしれない。当たれ。さすが。チャンスだ。好きにはさせねえ。さすが。その調子だ。よし、チャンスだ。黙らしたらいい。同点通りに配布完了っと。
sa iyong TV screen at maaari din kayo mag-donate online. Ang inyong tuition ay 100% tax deductible.
さあ、
Sa iyong TV screen, at maaari din kayo mag-donate online. Ang inyong tuition ay 100% tax deductible.
lagi na po kami
私らならやれるさ
nagkakulangan sa pagkain.
どう
Mamaya,
だ当たれ
napansin ko kami rito. Malaking tulong po yan sa amin.
おっと焦らず慎重に行くぞ
Siyempre,
黙らせたら
mababagkit na
次はわしがやる出てもらえその調子で頼むぜ
maraming bahay at tanggal yung mga bubong, nalahan,
このチャンス逃がさへんみんな攻めておこいつはいいな開けろすごいそうだやるな一気に畳みかけようぜ私に任せなさすが一気に行こうぜ助かるぜ逃がさへんでみんなにこの力をまあこんな感じ
Kasi na rin po mga GIC ang tulong po natin sa mga kababayan pag nawalan po kailangan po namin yan.
私らならやれるさそうだそうだよどうやおっとくそ食材はみんな冷静にな黙らせたら
Si Miss Tricia.
もらったやらかすげえじゃん
Tapusin tayo sa panahon. Gusto natin malaman yun. Prior to
一気に攻めるぜ
bagyong pipito.
みんなにこの力を
May problema pa rin pa sa liwan ng
こいつはいいな開けろ
sinira ng mga
いけるかもしれないそうだよさすが
Yes, si Mr.
チ
Tricia.
ャンスじゃない
Ng Trish Robbins, ng
次は酒でやるな欲しいわね一気に畳みかけようぜ 黙らせたら
Maraming pasilidad ng LGBT ang winasak o sinira ng bagyong Pipito.
Actually po, at this
想定通りに配備完了中という選手また一歩近くになってしまってまだまだカレンちゃんは上でおる
meron din po tayong mga naapektuhang linya sa Bicol, nakaapekto po sa Albay at sa Camarines Sur, pero agad naman po itong na-restore kahapon. Ngayon po, yung mga linyang apektado po, ito po yung nakakaapekto po sa bahagi ng
私らならやれるさ
Ifugao,
そうそうだよどうや
at Aurora.
そう
Ito na po yung testimony po ng ating mga
気合い入れろや
ngayon.
逃がさへんで
At
次はわしがやるええやないか刺激山すげえじゃん
typhoon po itong si Bagyong Pipito. Kumbaga, nag-prepare din
そう
tayo for
一
the
気に
worst.
畳みかけようぜ
Tayo po
助かるぜよっこらしょっと一気よしでさすが
prior kay Pipito, Tricia.
チャンスだ
Ang mga linya ng kuryente sinira.
これでいけるはずよ
Hindi pa rin natin
使わせてもらうぜ
Completely balik natin mga
私に任せな
completely
やるな
lahat ng mga linya na naapektuhan po ng
So,
mga nakaraang bagyo.
よしチャンスだ
Manse, Ope,
好き
yung
には
mga
させへんで
nakaraang bagyo po.
わしも獲物がほら刺激山
naka-out po ng mga linya ngayon ay
想定通りに配備完了こいつはなんか手応えがある
Kasama na itong tatlo pa na nire-restore.
parang more or less po yung linyang naapektuhan po ni Pepito. Hindi naman po ito nasira. Kumbaga, yung iba dito ay kumbaga nagkaroon lang po ng naapektuhan mga tripping o
焦らず慎重に行くぞ
yung iba naapektuhan
どうだどうやいいじゃねえか
ang debris mula sa mga
食材
sa normal. Ito may tumanasirang elemento.
おこいつはいいな食らえ一気に稼いでいいね私らもやれるさどうだ一気に稼いでもらったその調子だいいんじゃない黙らしたるざっとこんなもんだな
Okay. Trish, salamat sa oras. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Sir Joel, at Miss Gwen, magandang umaga po.
Good morning.
Trish Roque, so yung problema ng Katanduanes mo, hindi ang GCP ang kakausapin ka, kundi ang Department of Operating tsaka Department of Energy. Para ma-restore po 1-2 buwan po bago ho maibalik ang normal na kuryente po dyan sa area ho ng Katanduanes. Sa ating pagbabalik, andyan na ba? Si Carmel de Mesa ng Department of Agriculture. Magandang umaga si Joel Suwan.
うちのサイクル見せつけたる通知にはさせへんでさせねやらかいいじゃんほらどうだその調子だ焦らず慎重に行くぞみんなにこの力をおこいつはいいな開けろいけるかもしれないほらよさすがチャンスじゃない私に任せなやるねざっとこんなもんだな本当に伝説始めちゃう
Bigas ay almost 6 billion yung damage sa palaya. At ang sunod na malaki ay more than 2 billion sa ating high value commercial crop.
Anong recovery plan, asset?
Malaking damage ito sigurado bababa yung ating productivity ngayon.
みんな冷静な
Kasi bago tayo ito,
どうだ
nasa 800,000 metric
食材は
tons ng radio at yung mga
私らならやれるさ
malakas yun.
通知にはさせへんで
Talaga natin ipakabawal
次はわしがやる切り刻むあんま張り切りすぎんだよ
yung
やっちゃうやっちゃうやらせてこの力をおこいつはいいな食らえすごいそうださすがよしチャンスだどうだ火にはさせねえ待ってました欲しいわね
Sa bigas, asset magiging dependent tayo sa importasyon kahit hanggang first quarter of 2025.
想定通りに排除完了きっと
yung report pala ng TSA noong third quarter, bumaba na yung ating level of production. Mostly coming from rice sector, 5% yung binaba. At inaasahan natin nitong fourth quarter, bababa pa rin yun dahil nandito mga sunod-sunod na bagyo. Ang maganda
私らならやれるさ
nasabi mo yun, yung ating production.
うりゃ
Actually, yung total na import natin, 50 million metric tons.
そう焦らず慎重に行くぞ通知にはさせへんで次はわしがやる私に任せなうや切り刻むその調子で頼むぜこのチャンス逃がさへん
Maganda rin yung ginawa ng ating Pangulo na ginaba yung pabalita from 35 to 15% para to stabilize din ang presyo ng bigas.
Ang tanong namin ngayon yung 42 peso per kilo question po namin, makaka-apekto ba ito sa presyo ng bigas po natin kung nangyari po sa atin ngayon?
Yung kagandahan naman na yun dahil yung imported crop, mababa yung presyo. At yung ating rice
これでいけるはずよ使わせてもらうぜよっこらしょっとすごいあダメやるな
at yung pakikipag-usap natin sa mga
一気に 畳みかけようぜ。
Metro Manila.
そうだ、私に任せな。やるね。その調子だ。おっと、チャンスじゃない。このチャンスを逃すな。
Mag-adjust ng planting season. Kasi kung ganito ang panahon, marami tayo. Kaya hindi siguro
みんな
naman
で
tayo.
切る。
Pwede ba tayo mag-adjust?
Nasimulan niyo yung
ルカちゃんウィン。
mas malawak yung naging gawain na ganun. Kasi talagang tama ka dyan na yung bagyo nasa fourth quarter yung malalakas. Dapat yung ating calendar, i-adjust siya ng mas maaga. Ang kailangan lang dyan yung availability ng tubig at yung cultural practice, of course, ng ating mga magsasaka na paisa-ayos talaga. At
一気に片付けるぞ。
pagdating ng first round.
Asik, salamat sa oras. Pagdating ka. Thank you.
Maraming salamat sa inyo.
気合い入れろや。
Sa lipatin ng
この調子だ。やってー。頼むぜ。おっと。まだ待ってっみんなにこの力を。お、こいつはいいな。砕けろ。いけるかもしれない。当たる。やるな。おっと。一気に畳みかけようぜ。これでどうや。いいね。もらった。でもそうだ。一気に攻めるぜ。ざっとこんなもんだな。真の救世主。また一歩近づいたっちゅうのも。まだまだカレンちゃんは上でおる。焦らず慎重に行くぞ。ほらよ。うりゃ。気合い入れろや。次はわしがやる。やるね。切り刻む。だからやっ。その調子だ。みんな冷静にな。みんな攻めて。使わせてもらうぜ。開けろ。ここからね。ほらよ。やるじゃん。おっと、頑張りどころね。流したらやるな。もらった。いいやないか。ほら一気に行こうぜ。そうや。ざっとこんなもんだな。有意義な戦いだったんじゃねえか。
Swat on Sundays. With a perfect combination of kulit at kalaman.
Maganda kaya Mr. ni Susan Enriquez tsaka ni Empoy.
Sasagutin ang mga katanungan ni Juan, one question at a time. Sundays,
I wonder. Halos kasabay tayo ng kay Empoy.
焦らず慎重に行くぞ。どうだ。やるね。すげえじゃん。
Ah, si ano? Si ano din? JJ Garo Sena? Hindi. Hindi. Si ano?
ありがてえ。ただ切る。さすがです。私に任せな。いいやないか。それ。このチャンス。
Hindi ko umipit ka. Babuti ko umipit ka.
ざっとこんなもんだな。
Wait lang. Yung ano, tahimik niyang nilalabanan yung cancer niya.
parang pumayat yung isang tao.
Yan, si ano, Cesar Apolinario.
みんな冷静にな
No?
あ、
Sobrang payat niya yung bigay, parang nauso siya. Na,
一気に片付けるぞ
Ah,
そうだ私に任せなそこよその調子だ
Maria Marisa of Avendana.
さ血が騒ぐなみんなにこの力を
Walang personal.
こいつはいいな開けろ外からねそうだいいね 私らがやれるさこれでどうやさすが気にはさせねえ見せてもらおうやないか一気に畳みかけようぜざっとこんなもんだな
This is a self-proclaimed TikTok psychic, and what she's about to do will change her life forever.
Where she investigates and actually seemingly convicts people by using the very reliable method of
うちのサイキ見せつけたる
A human
上がれどうや
so-called internet sleuth for defamation. TikTok personality a series of videos without any
私らもやれるさ
Half of all crimes in the world is very unsolved. Someone on TikTok who says she's a psychic who claims she can expose the truth by talking to ghosts.
おっとやっちゃうやっちゃうや
People think she's actually insane, but others actually believe she's sincere about all the trouble this so-called psychic has caused for the police, victims, and everyone else. You understand how crazy this all is. This is the rise and fall of TikTok. The rise of the psychic. Among the millions of TikTok channels, Ashley sometimes stands out, but not in a good way. Ashley rocked the internet when she announced that she could solve real-life crimes by talking to spirits and reading tarot cards. Although this sounds far-fetched, it still gave her a lot of attention. Ashley quickly gained 105,000 followers and 2.6 million likes on TikTok. It's not clear if Ashley's followers actually believed that she had powers or just wanted to see her make a fool of herself. But one thing was clear, Ashley truly believed she was sent. She was so confident that she wrote Ashley is God in her TikTok bio. But talking to spirits, it wasn't her only superpower. Ashley told her audience that she could also read minds, predict the future, and see visions of the past.
I have the ability to read into minds, read into the past, even and into the future.
With thousands of followers watching on TikTok, Ashley began to use her psychic powers to investigate unsolved cases. There's a couple of techniques that Ashley solved mysteries. She picked cold cases and high-profile investigations and described in detail what happened at each time and who did it.
使わせてもらうぜよっこらしょすごい
Remember that these were unsolved cases, meaning no one was ever found guilty. When Ashley used her psychic abilities to investigate a case,
siguro baka nakachamba siya ng isang beses. Nakala niya.
By making these bold claims, Ashley never provided any evidence to back up her claims. Why Ashley said it was
minsan mahirap sa mga ganyan.
evidence because her information came from the spirits, which meant they were true.
To be acting or evidence, that's just ludicrous to me. That's just like asking anybody else in a tip when I'm providing the tip that they
Bago providing evidence partner, I can do all things through Christ. Yan. Maputang yung mga Amerikano na yan. Yung problema
She
sa
created a book series called Solving Mysterious Deaths, where she used her spiritual gifts to solve cases. She also released books about manifestation and spirituality. For a while, Ashley had a small community of supporters who believed her every word, but that was all about to change. In 2022, Ashley's spiritual crime solving made headlines when she started making videos about the biggest crime of the year.
その調子だありがとうんだよ
that caused her death.
さあおっと一気に行こうぜみんな攻めておこいつはいいな長えすごいほらよやるな
The
city of Moscow near the University of Idaho is a pretty safe place. On November 13th, 2022, everything changed when it turned into a major crime.
Very few answers after 4 students at the University of Idaho were found murdered.
I remember
It was
this
already
case.
really sad that 4 students passed away, but the case became a national tragedy when everyone found out exactly how it happened. An intruder broke into the house where the 4 students were hanging out, took their lives, and escaped. People looked to the police for answers, but they were quickly disappointed. The cops had no leads and no suspects. Soon, every major news network was covering the story, and millions of people followed the investigation closely. One of these people was Ashley, the kidnapped. But while everyone saw a tragedy, Ashley saw an opportunity to gain clout. The victims' families pressured the police to find whoever was responsible for this terrible crime. It wasn't going to be easy. The cops looked through security footage, checked phone records, and questioned anyone who could be a suspect of the crime. When the lead was that a white 2011 Hyundai Elantra was spotted in the neighborhood when the crime happened. The police found around 22,000 vehicles that fit the description of the car and started slowly going through the investigation. The cops weren't on the wrong side of this. Ashley was, while they were looking for physical evidence, she was conducting a spiritual investigation talking to ghosts and spirits. And just 11 days after the crime, Ashley announced that she fell. She knew who the culprit was, and it was the last person anyone expected. Ashley solved the crime. On November 24th, 2022, Ashley posted another video in her Ashley Solves Mysteries series. However, this was a special episode. Instead of looking into an old case, Ashley was using her psychic abilities to solve a current investigation, the University of Idaho case. Right from her first video, Ashley didn't hold back. She said that the person behind the demise of the 4 students was a woman named Rebecca Schofield. Rebecca was a professor at the University of Idaho, the same college the victims went to. But why would a college professor think that a terrible crime? Ashley had an answer. Technically, it wasn't really her answer, it was in the spirits. After accusing Rebecca, Ashley went all out. She filmed video after video breaking down the case from different angles. But what Ashley said in her videos was so shocking, straight up her lies. Ashley claimed that the spirits told her that Professor Rebecca was behind the crime. Now she needed to explain why and how it happened. This is the theory that Ashley claims the spirits tried. First off, was the murder. Ashley's tarot card reading showed that Professor Rebecca and Kaylee, one of the victims, were having an affair. It all began when Kaylee went to Professor Rebecca for advice about her career, which made sense since Rebecca was a college professor. As Professor Rebecca gave Kaylee career tips, their relationship evolved from teacher and student to something more intimate.
Rebecca Schofield mentored Kaylee Gunkoff since Father. Sorry if I say her name wrong, Kaylee, about her academics and her future. During this time, Rebecca Schofield took a liking to her and insinuated about being LGBTQ.
There was just one rule. The relationship had to stay a secret. Professor Rebecca was married. Furthermore, the college wouldn't approve of a romantic relationship between a teacher and a student. But even with all the risks, the two continued to see each other. Ashley also explained how the affair helped Professor Rebecca discover her romantic identity.
And she knew she was lesbian, but she didn't have the heart to live that life out loud. She said that she was so disrespected that she lost her connection to her husband, and that she needed to focus on her finding her truth.
Ay, sorry. よし、チャンスだ。パルゼ。よっこらしょっと。あれな。そう。一気に行こうぜ。
According to the TikTok psychic, things soon took a turn for the worse. The two began to argue frequently and the relationship became rocky. Kaylee, still a student, felt frustrated because Professor Rebecca tried to control her.
Rebecca Schofield was emotionally needy and insecure. She felt like Rebecca Schofield wanted to dominate her so that she could feel less insecure and more comfortable. So they had a power struggle.
Things got so bad between Professor Rebecca and Kaylee that they decided to take a break from their relationship. Eventually, they broke up completely. But the breakup didn't fix the problems between them, it just made things worse. Professor Rebecca loved teaching at the university and she was scared that Kaylee might tell others about the affair. If that happened, Rebecca would lose her job, her reputation, and her marriage. It would completely ruin her life. To protect everything she cared about, Rebecca made a terrible choice. According to Ashley, the professor decided to shut Kaylee up once and for all.
Rebecca feels threatened. She feels that Katie is going to tell her. So she decides to tell cops or come up with a plan to have Kaylee killed.
Ashley claimed Professor Rebecca had an affair with her student, Kaylee, and then decided to get rid of her after they broke up. But the key part of the story was how Rebecca actually did it. Rebecca allegedly convinced Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, Jack, to help by offering to pay him.
When she decided to keep her secret safe, that Kaylee had to be dead, and that Jack the Fool was going to help her do it. So she used up Jack the Fool in an inconspicuous place. Jack just wanted some money. So apparently there was something that happened that interfered with his goals and his dreams. He wanted to be able to pursue whatever goals and dreams he had in life, and Rebecca Schofield kind of fed into that.
Together, they hired someone to sneak into the house and target Kaylee, along with anyone she may have told about the affair. This included Kaylee's boyfriend and her housemates. Ashley was accusing a respected professor of planning an assassination, which was insane. Considering how serious her allegations were, some people demanded she provide evidence to back up her claims. But Ashley didn't have a shred of proof. All she had were her tarot card readings and psychic visions, which she presented as facts. However, Ashley insisted she had no reason to lie.
Let's just dispel the rumor. No, I do not know Rebecca Schofield. I'm not connected to her in any kind of way. I'm not emotionally tied to her or any of the victims. I'm not connected to anyone. I have no reason to lie.
Ashley said that the evidence against Rebecca would be found on Rebecca's phone and laptop and would support her story completely. After all, the spirits were never in the wrong.
You don't have to believe anything I said. Everything that I'm saying, and most of everything that happened to the students tonight and before, is evidence in the app that Rebecca Schofield used to communicate with all of her collaborators.
So, with all these videos out slandering Professor Rebecca Schofield, what did she herself think about it? To put it simply, she hated it. Professor Rebecca didn't say much in public, but behind the scenes, she was preparing to respond. And Rebecca's response would be so savage it would start a war between the two women. Professor Rebecca fights back. Professor Rebecca was shocked that a TikTok psychic she'd never heard of was accusing her of a crime she didn't commit. It was like a terrible nightmare. At first, the allegations were just irritating, but that irritation slowly turned to rage as Ashley kept posting videos. Even worse, these videos were going viral, being viewed and liked and commented millions of times. This was no longer a ridiculous conspiracy theory. Ashley's videos began to ruin Rebecca's life. Professor Rebecca was constantly insulted and bullied on social media. People flooded her email with hateful messages. Some even threatened her physically. Rebecca tried everything to stop this madness. She sent several cease and desist letters asking Ashley to take down the videos and stop making them for good. But they were all ignored. Instead of stopping, Ashley doubled down. Ashley's fans didn't just bug Rebecca. They also contacted the families of the victims, trying to convince them that Ashley had solved the case and Rebecca was guilty. Things got so out of hand that it started affecting the actual police investigation. The cops haven't found any suspects yet, but they were being bombarded with calls from Ashley's followers demanding they arrest the college professor.
For weeks, investigators have been combating a lot of misinformation on this case, but they say this claim that this professor is somehow involved in the murder is perhaps the most high profile, as it has been shared online millions of times.
In the midst of all this chaos, Ashley kept on making new videos, bragging that she was the sole reason Professor Rebecca was going to be looked at as a suspect. This left Professor Rebecca with only one option. She was going to sue the TikTok psychic. On December 21st, 2022, Rebecca Schofield sued Ashley Gillard for defamation.
A University of Idaho professor is suing a so-called internet sleuth for defamation after the TikTok personality posted a series of videos accusing, without any credible evidence, that the professor was somehow tied to the November of 4 college students.
The lawsuit explained that Professor Rebecca had no connection to the victims in any way, not even as a teacher. None of them took her classes, and she never met or spoke to them during their time at the university. Most importantly, she never had an affair with Kaylee. Furthermore, Rebecca cooperated with the police and answered all their questions. And even the police publicly stated that Rebecca was not a suspect in the case. And to top it all off, she had the perfect alibi. On the day of the crime, Professor Rebecca was nowhere near the college. She was thousands of miles away in Oregon with her husband and some friends. In the lawsuit, Rebecca demanded an amount of $75,000 to make up for the emotional stress and the damage to her reputation Ashley's videos caused. The case seemed like an easy win for Rebecca, although the lawsuit only mentioned the first 6 videos Ashley posted. There were many more videos.
75K kapal lang mo.
Total, Ashley posted more than 100 TikTok videos.
Yung, ina-accuse.
Ayun nga. Yung ina-accuse.
To protect everything. To stay a secret. Professor Rebecca was married. Furthermore, the college wouldn't approve of a romantic relationship between the teacher and the student, but even with all the risks, the two continued to see each other. Ashley also explained how the affair helped Professor Rebecca discover her romantic identity.
And she knew she was lesbian, but it just, she didn't have the heart to live that life out loud. She said that she was so
Just
interested.
for cloud. Hindi mo lang for... Ay, hindi pala, hindi mo lang kung for cloud. Obviously for cloud.
However, according to the TikTok psychic, things soon took a turn for the worse. The two began to argue frequently and the relationship became rocky. Kaylee, still a student, felt frustrated because Professor Rebecca tried to control her.
And insecure. She felt like Rebecca wanted to dominate her so that she could feel less insecure and more comfortable. So they had a power struggle.
Things got so bad between Professor Rebecca and Kaylee that they decided to take a break from their relationship. Eventually, they broke up completely. But the breakup didn't fix the problems between them, it just made things worse. Professor Rebecca loved teaching at the university, and she was scared that Kaylee might tell others about the affair. If that happened, Rebecca would lose her job, her reputation, and her marriage. It would completely ruin her life. To protect everything she cared about, Rebecca made a terrible choice. According to Ashley, the professor decided to shut Kaylee up once and for all.
Rebecca feels threatened. She feels that Kaylee is going to tone her. So she decides
Yung ito? Oh, black.
to have Kaylee killed.
Ashley claimed Professor Rebecca had an affair with her student Kaylee and then decided to get rid of her after they broke up. The key part of the story was how Rebecca actually did it. Rebecca allegedly convinced Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, Jack, to help by offering to pay her.
When she decided to keep her secret safe, that Kaylee had to do it. And that Jack was going to help her do it. So she used up the Jack report in an inconspicuous place. Jack just wants the money. So apparently there was something that happened that interfered with his goals in his dream. He wanted to be able to pursue whatever goals in his dreams he had in life, and Rebecca Schofield kind of fed into that.
Together, they hired someone to sneak into the house and target Kaylee, along with anyone she may have told about the affair. This included Kaylee's boyfriend and her housemates. Ashley was accusing a respected professor of planning an assassination, which was insane. Considering how serious her allegations were, some people demanded she provide evidence to back up her claims. But Ashley didn't have a shred of proof. All she had were her tarot card readings and psychic visions, which she presented as fact. Ashley insisted she had no reason to lie.
Let's just dispel the rumor. No, I do not know Rebecca Schofield. I'm not connected to her in any kind of way. I'm not emotionally tied to her or any other victim. I'm not connected to anyone. I have no reason to lie.
Ashley said that the evidence against Rebecca would be found on Rebecca's phone and laptop and would support her story completely. After all, the spirits were never in the wrong.
You don't have to believe anything like that. Everything that I'm saying and most of everything that happens to the students family and of course is evidence in the act that Rebecca Schofield used to communicate with all of her collaborators.
So, with all these videos out slandering Professor Rebecca Schofield, what did she herself think about it? To put it simply, she hated it. Professor Rebecca didn't say much in public, but behind the scenes, she was preparing to respond. Rebecca's response would be so savage it would start a war between the two women. Professor Rebecca fights back. Professor Rebecca was shocked that a TikTok psychic she'd never heard of was accusing her of a crime she didn't commit. It was like a terrible nightmare. At first, the allegations were just irritating, but that irritation slowly turned to rage as Ashley kept posting videos. Even worse, these videos were going viral, being viewed and liked and commented millions of times. This was no longer a ridiculous conspiracy theory. Ashley's videos began to ruin Rebecca's life. Professor Rebecca was constantly insulted and bullied on social media. People flooded her email with hateful messages. Some even threatened her physically. Rebecca tried everything to stop this madness. She sent several cease and desist letters asking Ashley to take down the videos and stop making them for good. But they were all ignored. Instead of stopping, Ashley doubled down. Ashley's fans didn't just bug Rebecca. They contacted the families of the victims, trying to convince them that Ashley had solved the case and Rebecca was guilty. Things got so out of hand that it started affecting the actual police investigation. The cops haven't found any suspects yet, but they were being bombarded with calls from Ashley's followers demanding they arrest the college professor.
For weeks, investigators have been combating a lot of misinformation on this case, but they say this claim that this professor is somehow involved in the murder is perhaps the most high profile, as it has been shared online millions of times.
In the midst of all this chaos, Ashley kept on making new videos, bragging that she was the sole reason Professor Rebecca was going to be looked at as a suspect. This left Professor Rebecca with only one option. She was going to sue the TikTok psychic. On December 21st, 2022, Rebecca Schofield sued Ashley Gillard for defamation.
A University of Idaho professor is suing a so-called internet sleuth for defamation after the TikTok personality posted a series of videos accusing, without any credible evidence, that the professor was somehow tied to the November to 4 college students.
The lawsuit explained that Professor Rebecca had no connection to the victims in any way, not even as a teacher. None of them took her classes, and she never met or spoke to them during their time at the university. Most importantly, she never had an affair with Kaylee. Furthermore, Rebecca cooperated with the police and answered all their questions. And even the police publicly stated that Rebecca was not a suspect in the case. And to top it all off, she had a perfect alibi. On the day of the crime, Professor Rebecca was nowhere near the college. She was thousands of miles away in Oregon with her husband and some friends. In her lawsuit, Rebecca demanded an amount of $75,000 to make up for the emotional stress and the damage to her reputation Ashley's videos caused. The case seemed like an easy win for Rebecca. Although the lawsuit only mentioned the first 6 videos Ashley posted, there were many more videos that could be used as evidence. In total, Ashley posted more than 100 TikTok videos accusing Rebecca of the crime. But this legal drama wasn't the only thing happening. Outside the courtroom, the hunt for the real culprit was still going on. And after weeks of searching, the cops were finally about to arrest the man behind the crime. The delusion just gets worse. On December 30th, 2022, 48 days after the horrible crime, the police finally caught a break and made an arrest.
That major break in the investigation into the murders of 4 Idaho college students. The suspect arrested thousands of miles away from the crime scene.
The suspect, 28-year-old Brian Christopher Kohlberger, a criminology PhD student at Washington State University, a school less than 8 miles from Idaho College. The police tracked him down after they checked the license plate of a white Hyundai Elantra seen near the neighborhood on the night of the crime. That car belonged to Brian. Once they identified Brian as the suspect, they pulled his phone records. That's when they noticed something strange. Brian turned off his phone between 2:47 a.m. and 4:48 a.m. at the exact time that the crime occurred. They also analyzed DNA found at the scene, which matched someone from Brian's family. The police then went to Brian's family's home and dug through the trash, where they found items with DNA that matched the crime scene. With all this evidence, the police had enough to arrest him. At the time of his arrest, Brian was the only suspect in the case. But even with this breakthrough in the case, Ashley was still determined to paint Professor Rebecca as the villain. Even after someone was arrested for the crime and she was slapped with a lawsuit, Ashley refused to back down. In fact, she told her audience she wasn't afraid of the lawsuit. She was excited.
Wow. I'm actually flaming with excitement. I am going to immediately start planning because I cannot wait to present my ideas in court regarding Rebecca Schofield and her role in the of the 4 University of Idaho students.
Instead of accepting that the case was closed, Ashley vowed to get Professor Rebecca locked up. As the court date grew closer, Ashley continued posting on TikTok, trying to convince more people that Rebecca was guilty. In one clip, she said she knew how the lawsuit would end because she foresaw it in a tarot reading. Apparently, the spirits said Rebecca would regret this lawsuit. Ashley went on long, angry rants, even criticizing the size of Rebecca's legal team.
Why does she need 3 lawyers for me? 3 lawyers. Why does she need such a big defense team if she's so innocent? Why does she need all of that for me?
It seemed like Ashley wasn't a big fan of lawyers because instead of hiring lawyers to defend her, Ashley didn't respond to the lawsuit at all. She claimed that the lawsuit was invalid because she lived in Texas and Rebecca lived in Idaho. This, however, wasn't true. The suit was legitimate. Since Ashley didn't respond to the lawsuit, the judge was going to let the case default, meaning Professor Rebecca would automatically win. But Ashley wasn't going to let that happen, so she decided to use a different approach, go on the offense instead of defense. Ashley decided to countersue Rebecca for millions of dollars.
Wow.
Ashley tried to flip the narrative, claiming that she was the one being defamed by Rebecca. In a long TikTok video, Ashley explained that instead of asking to have the lawsuit thrown out, she wanted to countersue because she felt like her name was being dragged through the mud.
I was being defamed about the entire freaking United States of America and the world on the media, and they were spreading misinformation, but that was great because you have
Nagulo si ate.
Unlike Rebecca, who only earned just $75,000, the psychic wanted much more. She was suing for millions of dollars. If that doesn't sound crazy enough, here's something else. Ashley didn't hire a lawyer to represent her.
She represented
She
herself.
decided to argue the case by herself.
What idiot?
Represent herself in court. No. Ashley is indeed representing herself in court in a multi-million-dollar defamation.
In the countersuit, Ashley raised several defenses against Professor Rebecca's claims of defamation. For one, she argued that her TikTok videos weren't made to harm anyone, but to help protect society. Since Ashley truly believed Rebecca was guilty, she felt it was her duty to inform the public to help the investigation and to prevent more people from getting hurt. She also defended herself by saying the lawsuit was violating her rights as an American citizen. She claimed her videos were just her exercising her freedom of speech through investigative journalism. When the court asked Ashley for actual proof to back up her allegations, Ashley said that her tarot cards and her psychic visions were proof enough. The court immediately rejected this, saying it wasn't real evidence. After that, Ashley tried a different approach. She said that her tarot readings were part of her spiritual beliefs and that it could be considered a form of religion. The First Amendment protects freedom of religion. Ashley argued that being sued for her tarot readings violated her First Amendment rights. So once again, this argument didn't work. For months, they went back and forth in court. For the countersuit, both women incurred thousands of dollars in extra legal fees. Well, Professor Rebecca had a lot of public support. Several GoFundMe campaigns were created, raising over $38,000 to help Rebecca pay for her lawyers. Finally, after a long and exhausting legal battle, the madness came to an end. On August 8, 2023, the court completely threw out Ashley's countersuit. They called her spiritual claims baseless and outrageous.
A TikTok personality's countersuit against the University of Idaho professor will not be moving forward. Today, a federal judge dismissed the lawsuit.
As of this month, September 2024, it said that Ashley Gillard still hasn't let this go. She keeps trying to refile the case without a lawyer, but no surprise, no judge is taking her seriously. Ashley's story shows us how dangerous it can be when someone spreads lies with confidence. As crazy as Ashley's fans are, sometimes we get swept up in the narrative too. But with misinformation flooding the internet,
yung ano mo, yung conviction mo na pinaninindigan mo yan.
Visual lecture. Wait, before you guys go, make sure you guys subscribe and then
Yung pininiwala mo yung sinasabi.
documentaries. We hit our goal of 700,000 subscribers and now on to 1 million. Let's go! Love you guys. Peace.
Nakita,
Dapat kasi, ang TikTok kasi masyadong stricta na.
I think so. Kasi may mga ganyan eh. Ay, ito na baby, oh, yung Cavite extension. Yung galing Baclaran. Ay, bago ang train, kulay-pula.
That you will be using to exit from the
stations or
Hanggang ano
terminals.
siya?
Pagdating
Dasma.
sa Mia Road Station. Approaching Mia Road Station.
片付けるぞ。
Wow, bagong stasyon. May sa Las Piñas yun.
Dr. Sato Station. Ito ang huling stasyon sa LRT-91.
Dr. Santos. Baklaran. Baklaran hanggang, alam po ng Cavite, Dasmariñas. Wow, bago na train. Kulay pula. 5P station. Trajectories ni ano yung mga carriers nito. Wow, bago train, no? Ang laking bagay yan, gaya kung mag-date ko niya sa Cavite. Ang dami naghihintay yung Bulacan. Ang dami naghihintay yung Bulacan. Redemptoris Mia Titex. Ninoy Aquino. Ayan yung mga nadagdag. So hindi pa, hindi ko buo yung hanggang sa Tite. Na-extend pa lang yung hanggang Parañaque pa lang. Titex, Ninoy Aquino, Dr. Santos. Dr. Santos is yung sukat. Sukat. Wow. Sukat nga. Ano mo talaga gusto kong gawin yung ginagawa namin ni nanay dati? Bata. Dito sakay kami. Oh, yan, sakay kami from Rotonda. Pasay Rotonda. Ano pa naman hanggang UN. UN. Hanggang Central Station pa lang na. Sa may City Hall ng Manila. Ay, hindi. Lagi din. Oo. Ay, di pa rin pala yung kotso. Pa rin pala yung kotso. Yung sabi ko na kung dyan pa ako kalagit dati, merong parang Japanese style na mga kainin sa Story Mall, Pasig, Talbot, Yokoso. Tapos yung may mga proprietor doon, mga Japanese. Nung nag-Japanese classes pa ako, pumunta ako dyan, dito ako nagpa-practice doon. May office namin dati doon. Yung office namin dyan. Dito ako nagtrabaho.
Adventurist.
Sa Pampaklaran Station papunta sa restaurant. Tapos ang station niya, ang station. Dito sa may bakanting lote.
Adventurist ka ba?
Sako, magbaba mo yan, pagpapang isipan mo yun. Okay. Ayun yung DFA. Yun yung DFA sa tabi. Arte na pala dyan. Ay,
Pag hindi ko alam, taxi!
siyempre.
Taxi!
Sige, ay, sige.
Na hindi ko na alam.
一気に片付けるぞ
May landmark na pala dyan ngayon sa ano? Okay. Kasi nagkatabi ng Ayala Circle. Ng Ayala Manila Bay.
Approaching Mia Road Station.
チャンスじゃない
Mia Road Station. Mia Road Station.
At ang papuntang Itik.
行こうぜ
Nia Road Station. Nia Road
こ
Station.
んなもんだな
Kasi dyan din yung ano, ayun o yung Naiya X. Ayun, Naiya X.
Hindi ka na baga ano, mataksi pa kayo pang telepon.
Please give way to line passengers and don't push over passengers when boarding the
Hindi,
train.
ano pa rin. Ayan, Parkal naman. Yung naalala mo yung binisita rin na dati. Yung store ba mo? Parkal store. Yung Parkal Mall. Yung open.
私らにやれるさ次は何
Next station.
Hindi ba yung start siya?
Pwede na ako.
Oo. Hindi, hintayin mo na pagkatapos na yung hanggang dasmal niya. Pwede rin ng complete. Iba na pumunta tayo. Kaya na tayo. Sa transfer natin sa LRT sa Recto.
O kaya, hindi. Para hindi tayo pupunta Cubao. Ano tayo? Shangri-La.
Pwede. Yung ginawa natin last time. Pala, no? Ano, MRT.
Kasi para hindi na tayo mag-uwi.
Sa PITX station. Approaching PITX station.
Ito yung ginawa natin para makaiwas tayo ng
PITX station.
mag-ano tayo,
station.
ano, mag-send tayo ng ilang schedule. Practical pa rin yan. Kasi, ano, iwas traffic. Ako naman yun, napaka-traffic. Saka, naalala ko yung pumunta tayo, nag-travel tayo. Ano oras na tayo na nagkalanganin pa tayo, diba? Tayo sa ano, sabi.
Nakaka-curious yung from Sukat. Paano siya papunta ng parking day? Saan siya dadaan? Kasi kahit pakisap niya na papunta na. Kahit hindi yan. Hindi yan yung dating email. Hindi, yan yung dating email dati. Yun yung dating email dati. Hindi yung tawag mo yung email dati. Dati na yan sa Parañaque. Ayun, meron na. Ano nga to? Papunta sa Cavite sa Manila. Yan pa Cavite sa yung daanan na yan. Paano pa naman yung kabisado ko palpalira? Ano na to eh? Papuntang Las Piñas. Yung daanan na yan. Papuntang Las Piñas. Pabayan-bayan. Papuntang ano nga ba yun? Almanza. Wala, ano? Las Piñas. Mapapuntang ano yung Almanza, Sacote.
Ang naalala ko lang, sasakay kami ng bus. Nakaya kami ng jeep. Sasakay kami pwede ka. Pagpapunta kay ano ba to?
Yung ano no, ginawa nila ano, kasi palipasan din na nila ma-overhaul yung mga dating stations kasi yun yung design ng stations noon kasi konti pa tao. Ngayon kasi pansin mo ngayon yung design niya, design nyo ng bago, yung ano to, LRT2 station, yung malalaki. Yung malalakad na, malalakad na platform. Para sa naiyawan. Sumat. Dr. San. Maganda sa bakay ng LR, Umaga. Kasi try ko na yan dati. Nung umuwi pa ako tapos umuwi ako dito dati. At yung araw ako maalis. First spring ride na LR. Masakay ako ng mga alas 4. Oo, kasi dito sa luwag, sarap, tapos malapit. Tapos bababa ako ng pangin or ng rest. Depende. Tapos magkaya, nakasakay ng kapag napawis na natin.
Please secure your personal belongings, such as bag, cell phone, or wallet, as well as the stored value card or single journey ticket that you will be using to exit from the station's 4 terminals.
malaking bagay. Kaya ito ngayon sabi nga, kaya sa Japan, very valuable ang trains. Kasi malaking bagay siya. Siya ng traffic. Tapos, yung ano siya ng mass transport. Mas convenient siya ng mass transport.
Diba nga may nakakita sa train?
Kasi mas convenient siya kaya nga sabi nga daw, nung pinag-aralan ko ng mga kapunta dito sa atin, sabi nga sayang kasi hindi daw natin tinitadvantage yan. Katulad yung PNR lang eh. Kaya buti nga kami nakakatawa, pinuhin nila yung PNR. Kasi nag-neglect din, hindi ko naalala. Nag-neglect din ng todo. Kaya nga buti nga ngayon nakakatawa kasi ano na siya, yung inaayos na. Naasikaso na siya ngayon. Ang tawag na talaga sa rules code, Fernando po, Junior na talaga. Ayan na. Obviously, nakakonect talaga siya sa pangalan niya. Facebook. Pati sa bigay sa mga ibang yung katulad ng Central Station ng LRT saka yung line 2, diba? Kapit sa SA.
Di ba kaya nga din na sa Bulacan?
Kasi yung sa Grand Station. Yung Grand Station. Kaya ako na-excite ako dito sa subway. Yun yung talaga ako na-excite sa subway. Yung malaking bagay. Pagkatapos. Kasi long time kami, dapat tagalan natin nagkaroon. Subway station. Nakakatuwa lang kasi kahit paano isang kita na parang talaga nagmamalasakit parang
Ano yung mga
Mag-internet. Ano yan? Naka. Bagong-bago pa, linis pa oh. Nag-move today po. Hindi pa ako tapos. Inis pa ng mga stasyon eh. nakakatawa kasi yung view sa ganyan. Kasi nakikita ka, alam mo yung movie mo dito kayo nakikita ka nasa baba. Ay, dito pala yung suno kalsada dito pagka.
Kapag nag-ano tayo, yung nagbabas dito sa atin, yung gilay niya, diba may mga ano, yung hindi mo nakikita pag naka-jeep ka.
Yung typical na
Naka-close kasi yung ano.
pagka naman.
Oo.
Nakatuloy, ayan, nakatuloy yun. Sabihin yung si Voice Over Flowers. Nalala mo yung pinapanood natin na yung ano siya, yung Voice Over Talent. Oh, yun siya yun. Yun siya nga, pangalan niya. Yung naalala mo na feature sa Saint Bulaga dati. Ha? Shit. Mga names. Yun, Kathleen. Si Voice of the Cloud. Sana meron din sila kapag yung ginagawa sa Japan yung pwede kang mag-stop. Alam mo yun? Ginagawa ni, yung ginagawa ni Charla. Yung sa stop ko. Hindi mo lalaki ng mga stasyon ng lalaki yung mga bagong stasyon ng NR. Kaya kasi yung nagagawa pag may espasyo kayo.
Wala palang mga establishments dito na
ay, masasakyan na rin pala yung mga rich pa yun. Hihintay din sa ayun, sabi din.
Ang susunod na istasyon ay PITX Station. Next station, PITX Station. Approaching PITX
チ
station.
ャンスだ
PITX station. PITX station.
ざっとこんなもんだな
Sa PITX. Ang laki ng platform. Galing. Ayun, no? Ang galing review natin mo, connected siya. Nagkatugtong yung PITX tsaka yung LRT. Ayun, no? Sa parking area ko.
Ang hirap pa naman yung ano, yung dati. Ang traffic. Ano, kasi muna, dahil hindi ako, simula, tapos, hanggang way, kung sisig mag-go doon ng umaliti, basta ko, matagal! Sobra. Ano sa oras ka?
Okay lang. You charge it to experience. Just totoo lang, di ko nakapunta sa PITX. Never pa ako nakapunta doon. Parang nga itong airport eh. Ground airport na.
Tapos, may sabi,
parang nga doon airport. Open na pala niyo yung bagong mga station sa Baclaran. Hindi pa, hanggang ano pala, hanggang sukat pala. Ilang kayo? Pa kayo? Kasi nasa Ano, hanggang sukat pa lang yung ano, station. Ano yung iya? Ito yung naiiyak. Batang naiiyak. Ha? Pang tanong.
Pagdating na sa Mia Road Station. Approaching Mia Road Station. Mia Road Station. Mia Road Station.
Dati yung kanto na yan, yung tinuturo ko sa inyo yung Janet na yan, sa media. Yung tinatag yung wild duck. Ano yan yung guys? Girly bar yan dati. Wild duck. Hindi, hindi ko napasok. Hindi, kumbaga hindi ko na siya na-experience. Kasi wala niya, nagsara na yan. Ay, di wala. Pero meron kami pinuntahan dati ng Rani ng beer house. Somewhere din dyan sa Parañaque. Joey Delay. Joey Delay. Sayang wala na, hindi na kasi magaganyan talaga yung mga pero ganda sana no, kung ganyan kalalaki yung mga stations ano? Kasi hindi na magaganyan yung mga luma ng LRT1 station unless may tatanggalin ka doon sa paligid para lumaki yung mga kasi so far dun sa LRT1 station ang malalaki ng nasa station is Clannad obviously kasi yun yung unang station nun Central Station, tapos Grand Terminal, yung nasa Metro, tapos Grand Station. Ay, yung sa Monumento. Yung Grand Central. Grand Central. Ay, ano bang Grand Central? Yung nasa Edsa?
Central Station pala ang tawag ko. Central Station. Yung sa Manila.
Ayun, no, yun yung Central Station. Oh, yung Central, oh, yung ano yung sa Manila. Yung pinaba natin, yung pumunta ka kayo yung play. Yung Central Station. Tapos Grand Central na yan, like tawag nila dun sa Monumento Station. Tawag nyo silang bago. Ay, yun yung ano, yun yung tabi nung yung dating lidiway. Yung sabi nyo dapat gagawin ng situhan ng Parañaque. balintawak na experience ko yun sumakay dyan nung nung bagong bukas yan. Yung sa nung punta kami ng Rizal Market sa Dela James kasi doon pinalabas yung gadget. Oo, kasi pinalabas kasi nun yung yung pawis, nag-trip kami, nag-ano kami. Kaya pinag LRT, yung bagong station, yung balintawak. So kami sumakay. Hindi na, kaya siyang lakarin. Oo, kaya siyang lakarin.
Etsa, bebe,
Ay,
malayo.
hindi, kaya siyang lakarin.
Ang sinasabi mo yung bagong Etsa.
SM North Exam,
Ang SM North Etsa, putol yun. Ang SM North, yung MRT na sa kayong LRT.
Nagkakot niya kami hanggang ay hindi pala, sorry. Hindi pala balintawak. Sorry, Roosevelt pala. Roosevelt kasi pala yung last station. Roosevelt pala.
Malayo yun.
Hindi, sorry, mali. Roosevelt station pala. Roosevelt pala yung sabi ko, hindi pala balintawak. Roosevelt kami sumakay kasi nakatubo.
Pero malayo pa rin yun.
Naglakad sa kaya naman siyang lakarin. Lakad niya na. Kaya nakita namin yung BXA doon. Ay, ito po rin BXA. BXA Muñoz. Sige, matagal na rin. Ano pa yun? Sige, matagal na yun kasi tawag.
Bebe, ilang taong kami doon.
Napanood namin yung Gundam niya. Tao sa... Well? Doon, nandun na yun. Kasi kaya ko siya alas. Kasi hindi nag-work yung isang dinigay natin dati. Tapos nandun.
Bebe.
Tapos nandun nga yun.
Araw-araw ako dumadaan doon. Hindi tao sa iyo.
Ayun o, it opened 2010. So, kaya nga...
VXI?
Hindi, yung...
Sabi mo VXI yun.
VXI nga, 2010. At doon na yun.
VXI yung sabi mo. Kaya sabi mo nga dumaan ka na doon.
Ano? Baklaran. Argentines. Okay, ganyan ginawa nila. Papuntang DC na rin. Bradco pala, Bradco. Hindi, Redemption.
Andun siya bumaba?
Parang
Pero may
sinilip
ano
nila
ata
siguro.
station na.
May ano pa, pupunta ka na, Baklaran. Sedentary school. Tama. May Pradco. Pradco, yun yung pangalan ng group. Yan, Pradco Avenue tawag yan. Sa kalsada na yun.
Magkasunod ba siya?
Oo,
Magkasunod siya yun. Oo, magkasunod siya.
Ayun, Pradco Avenue.
Pero, magkakita siya.
Wala na.
Wala kang kanina sa baka, di ba?
Ito wala pa eh, no? Yung sa ano na, yung sa MRT7, yung Bulacan.
Matagal-tagal pa yun, baby. Komplikado yung ano yun.
Oo, ano?
Diba, nakita mo naman, di ba, madaming mga, ano pa, yung mga establishments na
Welcome to Power Talks.
kailangan sirain.
Manila says China is stepping up pressure on the Philippines to relinquish its rights in the South China Sea.
I'm Mark Matsumoto and welcome to my Tokyo Kitchen.
焦らず慎重に行くぞ。好きにはさせねえ。その調子だ。いいじゃねえか。これでいけるはずよ。使わせてもらうぜ。くらえ。想定通りに排除完了っと。行くぞ。
So one of my least favorite moments of all Monster Hunter is yes. Alright, can't wait for the reaction to this guy now.
A few moments later.
Oh boy! It's a paid version of the same monster. No fucking respect. No respect. Somebody just fucking straight into the red room. I'm glad he's come a long way to walking roads instead. Hello then, my fellow hunters. You may be asking yourself, that was a great moment. Hey, why are you reminding me of it? Please, inform me, I need to know. And I, to that, just saying, okay, calm down, what the hell? I wanted to talk about the notion of subspecies and variants, etc., in wild. Now those two are like the chief one, those rare species sold in the fringe, the core three. Other games have brought in special categories like your deviants or your afflicted monsters, but generally speaking, in a bubble, the versions of monsters that we get and wilds. Because I was sat there just kind of looking at the launch rosters for games like Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, for Base World, for Base Rise, and when I got to World I saw oh yeah, we did have Pink Rathian, Azure Rathalos, Black Diablos, just a little smattering, so new players could get an idea that you can get different versions of the same monster. Wait a minute, what's that going to be like in Wilds? And here we are talking about it. I know, an absolutely ludicrous train of thought. But here we are. Because I feel like in Wilds, by its very nature, we could get some, and, excuse me here, wild
subspecies slash versions of monsters. And don't excuse me, don't excuse me, because I'm not anyway, sorry. And that's because of the setting, right? Like, it is very specifically an unexplored forbidden lands where quite literally anything goes. Where monsters have evolved and adapted in ways that we have never seen. This more raw, quite literally monstrous visage, and even completely new life form categories like the Black Flame, the Undoubtedly Be, and the Sexy Dragon, but hey, you get what I'm saying. So when it comes to versions of things we can see, I think it's one of the most exciting Monster Hunter games of all time for possibilities in that. First and foremost, though, the question to answer is it even likely to get any alternate monster versions on the base low high-net version before we move into Master, which is when you do tend to see a lot. Think of Sunbreak. We immediately got a subspecies for everything except Gosferag, who was forgotten and left behind despite being the best boy. And that's kind of a consistent-ish theme that the subsequent version of the same game does like to fill out with new takes on existing monsters. But that said, the base versions do tend to get something. Well, as I said, with Blackpink and Azure, but even something like base rhymes, while not having any strict subspecies, did come loaded with the Apex versions of the monsters, which are most certainly official ultimate versions, even if they were just a little bit watered down deviants. But then you look at that and think, okay, every Apex monster was a version of a returning monster. We didn't get any instant new takes on already new monsters. In one, it was classic subspecies on classic monsters, and they weren't new ones, they were just some solid ones to show it's a thing. So the idea of getting a new version of the new monster seems a little bit unlikely. Even if we go back and look at Monster Hunter 4, where we got Nursilla, the Temnocerans, we got Jarjarala, the Snake Wyverns. None of them had instant other versions for us. Instead, again, it was the kind of classics coming back. We got Red Kezi, we got Purple Gypsaros. Bloody Gypsaros. Black Gravios made an appearance, which is just one of the more cooler subspecies, at least aesthetically. I really do love him, and ever since I brought it up in one of the previous discussions, I've really been kind of liking the idea of seeing modern Gravios, but that's by the by. The point I'm making is that while the precedent for new versions of the monsters instantly isn't there, but could you imagine a wild where we immediately get like a water to use kind of the framework version of Raydao, have a little Apex element switcheroo around the map? I don't think that's going to happen, but it certainly would be fun. I do think, though, that modern Monster Hunter is definitely more shying away from new versions of existing monsters launching the base game alongside that new monster for the first time. Which leads us then to return monsters getting a fresh new take, or indeed their already existing subspecies, etc., adding to the pile. So we know we've got Yankuts 2, we know we've got Kongalala, and we know we've got Rathalos. The actual confirmed returning roster is fairly small, I guess Rathian 2. So will we see another return of the pink? I kinda hope not. It would be a little bit. Oh, okay. I guess that's fine. I mean, it does give more to hunt, and I don't think putting the Rathalos in comes at the cost of anything else. So I guess in that sense it's fine. It's not terribly exciting in both concept and the hunt. Then Kongalala. Him immediately getting Emerald Kongalala would be quite fun, but it's not like groundbreaking in any kind of way. So that is highly worth it. The really
anything to go outside the realm of mainline Monster Hunter. Gold Kongolana, which I really like as a take on it, and this was a lone species from Monster Hunter Online, and quite powerful relative to being a Kongolala. It's very much possible that I'd like to see a new take on Kongolana. Because I think when you bring back a loved monster, but not necessarily one, you know, as a headliner by itself, sorry Kongolala, but then upgrading him to a much greater threat later on, in a way that's truly menacing, like Acidic Glavenus did in Iceborne, could be really entertaining. Yankoku has blue Yankoku, which isn't exactly the most ridiculous thing in the world, and I think Yankoku, out of all the returning monsters we currently know about, probably would get the most out of having a really interesting new version to really turn things up. I think he deserves it, and I could totally see him coming packaged in Wilds with a much harder Super Cuckoo that isn't a trapped creature like we know the base Yankoku are in a later map, an element swapped one too. And I already kind of mentioned it a little bit in my list from Coldness, Thriller, and Shroudedness. We saw webs on the back of the oil well basin, and we know that's consistent with what Nessa likes to do from previous maps. So her arriving alongside instantly shrouded or the new version could be interesting. I definitely don't think that they're going to go to the effort of bringing the 1007 model over to the 6th gen and really nailing it to the kind of fidelity and smoothness it needs to have in Wild to only use in Wild Arena, but that's a discussion for another time. In any case, I think it would be definitely a shame if Base Wilds didn't have something as a take on monsters. And I think the obvious one that I'm kind of building to here is something I've touched on before, which is the alternate versions might not be versions of monsters that are in the game, but versions of monsters that aren't in the game. The category of monsters isn't going to be subspecies or variants. The extra new bonus category of monster in Wilds is going to be extinct species. Arkveld, a member. Potentially the Black Flame, a member. Potentially the Binding Force, Summelt, that the people on the Winged Plains talk about, a member. So technically these are, well, they're extinct, but their ancestors might be alive, so they're versions in that sense. So we might actually have a situation where, yes, of course, the new monster of the game is going to have other categories of monsters within it, but instead of your regular subspecies variants, we just get a new official one and the introduction of extinct species that can get new members throughout the rest of Monster Hunter generations to come over the years. Then we do have the kind of rounding out question of, is it actually something that's worthwhile? Is it something that you want? Is it something that you would be disappointed if it didn't happen? Is there a worthwhile space to immediately explore subspecies and such in Wilds, or just let the base version of all the monsters returning anew shine for a while, at least until the title update territory, and then a master rank expansion beyond that? So of course, title updates are always very much a potential for this kind of thing. We saw that a lot in World of Iceborne and even Rise of Sunbreak, so that's something to consider. And then lastly, we do have whatever the end game will be. Afflicted monsters, apex monsters, tempered monsters. I assume there will be monsters that come with Wilds to give us a challenging hunting experience once you reach the end of the story and to start progressing and farming decorations or talismans, whatever they go with, and that seems inevitable. So those versions of monsters, while not strictly subspecies, as, you know, the afflicted monster in these highly versions just afflicted, there is certainly that element to it to think about. I personally lean on the side of I would prefer think every monster just gets to be its base version with no other competing versions, and then you can introduce them through master rank expansion and character updates. But I do maintain that Wilds as a concept, the story, the world, the location of it, does open us up to, I think, some absolutely fantastically creative subspecies and so on options, and I would love to see them get actually explored whenever it is that happens. And I would love your guys' thoughts on that too. But now then, like and enjoy this, subscribe to the button below, consider supporting the featuring channel location down below, and until we meet again, I'm gone.
Target Apollo with the video, dropping the gamer like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. It's stuff, right?
一気に片付けるぞ。
It's the winter of 1985. A family living in a remote region of the Philippines receives a package at their door, which contained a single VHS tape and a note stating that the contents were for the children of the house. And so the kids were gathered up one by one and sat in front of the television where the tape began to play, introducing them to a brand new show called This was the experience for hundreds of kids across the world, made to watch a seemingly harmless puppet show about a grandpa and his family, with most of the young viewers loving it, gladly watching this episode and the many others that would be sent later on, over and over again, blissfully unaware that what they were being shown would someday come to be known as one of the most disturbing rabbit holes in the history of children's media. This is the story of Life of Grandpa, the darkest kids show ever made.
Nothing can harm you when Jesus is near. Dad, I don't want you to leave. I persuade you to subscribe.
Before we dive any further down this rabbit hole, I want to first thank today's video sponsor, Saley. Throughout my life, I've taken countless trips to Canada as I live right by the border, and I'm so used to going there that at this point it doesn't even feel like I'm traveling to another country until I see the roaming charges on my phone bill. This has literally cost me hundreds of dollars over the years, but luckily I don't have to waste another cent thanks to Saley. Saley is a new eSIM service app created by Nord Security, and it's incredibly easy to use. First, download the Saley app, then pick a plan that works for you, which you can use code Crowley to get 15% off at checkout. And then simply follow the instructions in the app to install the eSIM. This is way more convenient than having to get a new physical SIM card whenever you go to another country. And best of all, it instantly activates as soon as you arrive at your destination, so you don't have to waste a second of your trip. This is also way safer than having to use public Wi-Fi, which is a hassle to track down anyway. Saley is also extremely accessible, with it being available on both iOS and Android, with plans available in over 160 countries and 8 different regions. So if this sounds like something you guys might be interested in, you can get an exclusive 15% off discount on your Saley eSIM data plan. All you have to do is download the app and use code Crowley at checkout, or you can also scan the code on screen right now and get started today.
Our fellowship dedicated to sharing lots to say on the feet.
This is Life with Grandpa, a straight-to-VHS show made for children created sometime in the mid-80s. The program followed a family of humanoid puppets on their journey to teach the audience lessons loosely based on Christianity through the use of stories, skits, and songs, acting as a guide for children to live their best possible lives for Jesus.
We'll continue with some more lessons about prayer. Are you all ready?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's it.
Such sweetheart.
The show is set up in an episodic fashion, never following any main overarching storyline, and instead, each installment would be composed of a series of shorter segments, recounting past experiences from this family, with an occasional musical number thrown in here and there. Unsurprisingly, the main character of the crew was Grandpa, who acted as the show's host, often being the one to teach the episode's central messages not only to his on-screen family, but to all the kids watching at home.
But wouldn't you like to pray that some poor little boy who doesn't have so many toys and blessings as you do will find you kind?
Yes, Grandpa.
As he was made to be a wise, almost religious-like figure, whose words were never questioned. Often seen by his side was his wife, Mother Maria, though for as often as she's shown, she rarely has much to say. Typically only chiming in when she's reiterating Grandpa's messages to the children. And of the children, there was Davida, Techi, and Davidito, with the latter being one of the show's central figures, landing right next to, or potentially even ahead of Grandpa in terms of screen time, as Davidito often got his own segments and told his own stories directly to the audience.
Hello, children. Would you like to hear some exciting prayer adventures? This first story happened when I was very small.
And though it's never outright stated, it's clear that Davidito was put on a pedestal, with the child often getting special treatment and being showered in gifts, as the family clearly seemed to favor him.
Thank you, Uncle Al.
It's called a count.
We want to give you a little surprise because you were such a good witness. Thank you, Jesus.
With there never being an explanation as to why. This is the core group of Life with Grandpa, with the only other reoccurring characters being Aunt Sarah and Uncle Al, a couple that was often shown around the house helping look after the kids. And despite this looking like something pulled straight from the depths of the Uncanny Valley, the content within the show didn't really seem all that troublesome. In fact, it appeared fairly low, and not too unlike the many other low-budget religious shows at the time, highlighting themes like obedience,
Nothing short of life is right.
Yes, so the right thing is
To obey.
sharing,
Good morning, Davida. I have a surprise for you. Oh, can I see it? I would like to share my card with you. Which ones do you like?
and loving everyone.
That's really sweet of you, David. Thank you for that nice, generous present. What present? That nice kiss. A kiss makes a real beautiful gift or present.
Though mixed within these fairly standard teachings, you'll find other moments that are far more unusual.
Don't run down that gravel hill. Davida! Oh, Davida.
she's bleeding and her cut is all covered with dirt.
And I don't even have a tissue to wipe it with. I'll just have to lick it clean and spit out the dirt.
The show featured a lot of strange underlying themes that seemed to have nothing to do with religion, or at least not the conventional beliefs of Christianity, with one of the more obvious being its unprompted disdain for doctors.
You'll have to really pray that there won't be a scar.
Soon afterwards, there was no sign at all of the deep gash on Davida's forehead. Surely a doctor would have stitched it. But our God is still a God of miracles. Praise the Lord.
As well as its constant endorsement of spanking.
Jesus thanks us because he loves us and wants us to obey and be good.
We're really sorry.
Ginagamit mo yung religion para sa...
You a little bit or correct you. It's for your own good. It's because he loves you and wants you to be good and obey.
And while these are certainly strange, by far the most glaring indication that Life with Grandpa wasn't just your typical kids show came from the program's stance on women, with the first major example coming from a song made for the young girls watching on.
I'm ready to go, ready to stay, ready my head to fill, ready for service, slowly or great, ready to do God's will.
The message behind this song is clear. If you're a woman, then it's your job to cook, clean, and have babies. And that's about it, as this is God's will and your sole purpose for existing. And while this ideology was certainly not as controversial at the time, the show took it a little further, as it hammered home this idea to all the children watching on by repeating one line at the end over and over again. Making it clear that this was a lesson that the showrunners didn't want these kids to question. But as comically offensive as the song was, it was far from the worst that the show had to offer. we're shown a musical number about Grandpa, who's portrayed as a scientist that's always busy working, though the song is really less about him and more about his love interest. A robot with long hair and nude female breasts. It's one of the most surreal things that I've ever seen on a kid's show, as this thing was clearly meant to be a portrayal of Grandpa's wife and women in general, likening them to robots. Though unlike the previous demeaning song, this number is blatantly perverted, as it not only shows the robot having breasts, but it also shows Grandpa fondling them as well. And these perversions weren't even exclusive to its imagery.
That's when she gets excited.
It's shocking for so many reasons, but mainly due to the fact that this was on a show that was literally made for toddlers and young children, who are now being shown this clearly explicit content. And most disturbing of all is the realization that this sexualized material was actually nothing new to the world of Life with Grandpa. Predating the puppets, there was a little-known illustrated book series called Life of Grandpa, with the show practically being a shot-for-shot remake of this book series, featuring the same exact characters and stories. And much like the show, the series was also a religious guide created for children. In its pages, you'll find themes about morality and lessons made to guide you towards a proper way of living through this religion. But these books also had a very apparent dark side, one far worse than the show would inspire. In the chapter Real Fathers, we're shown a scene where Techi and Davidito question why they have two different skin colors, despite them being siblings, as Techi noticed that Davidito's skin appeared light brown, while hers was almost pure white, to which Grandpa then explains to them how his wife and their mother had slept with other men.
What?
See, God used Timothy and Carlos only to Mama so that I could have you both. You were just like an instrument or tool that Jesus used to help create you wonderful little children for his kingdom. Praise the Lord. This was followed by an in-depth explanation of what that scene looked like, including images depicting the act. Examples like this are prevalent all throughout the pages of Life with Grandpa, with erotic material being shown constantly with no regard as to how inappropriate this is to be shown to kids, which begs the obvious question, why? Why was Life with Grandpa so blatantly perverted? Well, the answer lies with the author of the books, and the reason for the show's existence. David Bird.
But when we come back to that first thing, together.
Born in 1919, David grew up a devout believer in Christianity, but wanted something more from the religion. He dreamed of one day starting his own group with his own teachings. And in 1968, at the ripe age of 50, he decided it was time to do just that. The group began in Huntington Beach, California, and went by many names over the years, like Teens for Christ, the Children of God, the Family of Love, the Family International, or just the Family. But regardless of its name, there was no denying what this group was. A cult. A cult led by David Berg. Berg would find young hippies and those struggling with drug addiction and mental health issues, and convince them to join his group by stating that the end of the world was coming soon, and that they needed to follow in his path and join his family to save their souls. It was pretty standard cult ideology, but at the time it was extremely effective, with the sect amassing a staggering 10,000 members at its peak. And at first, David got by with fairly standard teachings from the Bible, although this wouldn't last. After some time, Berg began addressing his followers via frequent illustrated messages called Mo letters that featured his ramblings and teachings from the time, with Berg slowly ingraining into his members that the contents of these letters should be taken as seriously, if not more so, than the Bible. In one of these letters sent out in 1972, Berg claimed that God was going to destroy the United States and that the group needed to flee the country immediately, with Berg demanding that his followers spread out all across the globe and open up communal homes where members could live as one, far away from the public eye. As a result, many members packed up their things and left right away, leading to roughly 130 communities being established across 70 different countries, essentially overnight. This mass migration had an extremely significant impact on the family, as it left practically the entire group outside of the United States, and more importantly, outside of the United States jurisdiction, meaning that Berg could now get away with far more than he used to. And unsurprisingly, this is where he began to tighten his control. The full-time members were made to give up all of their earthly possessions to the group and cease all contact with their family and friends who were non-believers, cutting them off from the outside world completely. And these restrictions also applied to the media they consumed. In his teachings, Berg denounced all forms of entertainment made outside of the cult, since he believed that this would poison the minds of his members and potentially sway them into leaving the group. And so, instead, he insisted that his followers only consume media that was produced directly by the family, with these works often being created by Berg himself or the other followers he enlisted, and then shipped directly to the members' homes, leading to hundreds, if not thousands of videos, movies, and TV shows being produced and shared among the family. But for Berg, this wasn't just about providing entertainment. It was really all about controlling the minds of his group, and even more importantly, indoctrination, with his primary targets being children. From birth, most kids were not shown any media other than what the cult gave their parents, with these works quite literally shaping their minds into following everything that the cult believed in without question. The main themes of these were usually things like always be happy, always show love, and never, under any circumstances, question your parents. And life with Grandpa was no exception, as it too was created by the family in order to instill their beliefs into its child viewers, with the line trust and obey being hammered home time and time again, as those creating the programs didn't want their kids questioning any of the practices, and so they were teaching them to simply smile along and trust the adults. But because the group was the one producing and distributing the content, they basically had no regulations placed on them, meaning that they can include whatever they want in these shows without any repercussions, leading to many of the showrunners exploring some of the group's more controversial beliefs, which becomes extremely troublesome when you realize that the family wasn't just your standard cult, and instead, it was a sex cult.
When you think about it, when you're in the garden, are you thinking about, you think about a beautiful, naked man,
para masabi kong tama yun.
David Berg was a deeply perverted man. The idea of sex consumed him and seeped its way into essentially all of his teachings.
I think right now, not being a colada, I think they're making some other kind of juices.
And once his followers were outside of the US, he began to preach something he called the law of love, which essentially said that the family should be showing all people love, and that love should come in the form of sex.
I practice what I preach, and I preach first, boys and girls, hallelujah.
And so he told his followers to open up their relationships to outsiders, calling the practice sharing, as you were made to share your partner in the hopes of enticing new people to join the group. But he wasn't satisfied with just this, and instead he began to mandate that the women of the group participate in something he called flirty fishing. Also known as FF, flirty fishing describes the practice of women going into bars at night in order to pick up lonely men, who they would then entertain for the night. The goal of this was to convince these men to join the family, though more realistically, the goal was also to make money, as they were made to charge for their services, with the women being told to seek lonely businessmen. And this is something that Berg not only pushed heavily, but outright mandated, insisting that every woman in the group do this or face being removed from the family, even those who were married. And Berg was so serious about this that he sent every colony report forms so that they could report how much flirty fishing was being done, in order to check their statistics and make sure that they were up to par. Understandably, many women of the group were concerned by this, and wanted nothing to do with it. However, most of them had moved all the way across the world, and sacrificed all of their belongings to be in this group, meaning that their removal would leave them with nothing. They were trapped. Simply put, Berg was forcing the women of the group into prostitution, and he was shameless about it too, calling them God's whores and Christ's hookers. The worst of all, Berg knew that flirty fishing could put these women in grave danger, as he admitted to them that violent assaults were going to happen, but he said that if you want to live, simply don't resist. And if you do get hurt or even killed, that's entirely your fault, because after all, it was God's will. And this was on top of a myriad of other horrific things that Berg said that I can't even repeat here. But the man saying all of these horrific things was the same man who wrote Life with Grandpa, and he used this medium to normalize his sex cult's beliefs for the children watching, which gives more context as to why women were portrayed in the way they were in these books and the show, as Life with Grandpa was breaking down the young girls watching and grooming them for a life of prostitution that they were made to accept without question. Though the show wasn't only for preparing the kids for the perverse lifestyles they were headed for, and instead, they were already becoming well accustomed to it. Throughout his Mo letters, Berg also began to preach that children should be involved in these affairs and sharing as well, stating that he believed age should have nothing to do with it. In fact, he believed that children should be taught about this lifestyle essentially as soon as they're born. And although, again, I can't read his exact words on this, Berg had declared open season on pedophilia, and much like flirty fishing, it was mandatory. The abuse that followed is unimaginable, at a scale far too large to fully know to this day. Abuse that the parents of the children not only allowed, but often participated in, with one of the more notorious large-scale accounts coming from something that the group called the Love Video. This movie was a result of Berg sending out requests to all of the parents to send him lewd videos of their children dancing, which he not only took for himself, but packaged together into a long-form compilation video that was then distributed to all of the cult's members, encouraging the others to film similar content, with Berg going as far as creating a guide to help create the perfect video. And not only did many parents go along with this, but many clearly enjoyed it.
Kia shared with us the video that just came from World Services, and it was so inspiring, it was so beautiful.
Like, what the fuck?
The love video.
And for this couple specifically, this wasn't the only order that they were happily following.
And it was really a blessing too for Joe and Hobo, because they had a good chance to share also with Sally. And so the Lord's really setting us freer and freer to obey and to be free and to show that sample of freedom and love to the world.
Grabe, no? Oo, no?
Life with Grandpa was literally created to indoctrinate kids into a pedophilic sex cult, and it makes you realize why exactly it and so many other of the cult's programs were hammering home this point of not questioning your parents or any adults, and to simply obey and smile.
So the right thing is to obey.
Because the adults in their lives were now suddenly doing unimaginable things to them, and they were being groomed not to question it, making some of the show's segments horrendous in hindsight.
One very special way you can show the big people that you love them is by giving them lots of hugs, kisses, and cuddles.
What?
Oh. A child's love and affection really encourages and inspires the big people.
It was normalizing their abuse, and because of this, many children never questioned the horrible assaults that they endured, assaults that were all fueled and pushed by David Berg's sick perversions.
God created boys and girls able to have children by about the age of 12 years of age.
God would creepy old man.
Which were far from theoretical, as Berg himself allegedly partook in this practice repeatedly with his own children and stepchildren, as incest was also a key point of his teachings, and his adult followers rarely dared to question this, as those who refused to partake in Berg's latest teachings were again at risk of removal from the group, which is even more devastating for those who had children, as much like all of their possessions, their kids were pledged and belonged to the family. And the kids themselves couldn't seek help either, as those that refused to trust and obey were sent away to actual prison camps owned by the cult until they were basically reprogrammed.
They made camps. I was sent with my brother to the Philippines. We had armed guards from the Filipino military keeping us in. They would publicly beat you if you asked to leave, then try to break you and get you to confess.
And the group continuously got away with this too, thanks in large part to Berg's orchestration of the group leaving the United States, which looking back was almost certainly done on purpose. Plus, many members were actually living in hiding. In fact, all of the members were made to change their names upon joining the group, and most were told to never give out their last names, meaning that if any child wanted to report that it happened to them, they would be unable to provide even the names of their abusers. And this included Berg too, who at this point lived most of his life in hiding, going by numerous aliases to avoid detection. Aliases like King, Moses, Mo, Dad, and eventually, Grandpa. The entire show was about him, David Berg, which is why he was shown as a wise, unquestioned religious-like figure who the children were made to look up to. And that wasn't all, as the characters shown alongside Berg were also members of his real-life family that lived with him in a remote commune. Mother Maria was the nickname of Karen Zerby, David's wife who helped him run the cult and facilitate this era of hypersexualization, while Aunt Sarah was based on Sarah Kelly, the woman in charge of running the prison camp made to punish the kids who dared question the family's beliefs.
Sarah Kelly, who was responsible for me being held against my will in the Philippines.
But the most grotesque detail to come from the revelation of who these characters are was that it showcased David Berg's polygamy, as he was actually married to many people in the real world, and two characters on the show itself, Mother Maria and Davida.
What?
His then 5-year-old stepdaughter. Davida would eventually go on to tell her story, stating that she had been Berg's child bride.
And there was a ceremony with the ring and everything, and once I turned 5 years old was when I was implicated into being one of his queens, so to speak.
Along with allegations that she had been victimized by him countless times. And she wasn't the only victim of Berg's perversions. Techi was often sexualized by Berg publicly, with Berg having stories made and illustrated depicting his fantasies about her when she was just a child. On top of this, numerous people within the group also claimed that she had been outright assaulted by the hands of Berg, as well as many others in the group.
And look at our pretty girls today. They're dressed in such nice dresses and their hair looks so nice. Yeah, she looks so pretty for all the children that are watching today.
The context of who these characters are makes this already disturbing show that much more sickening. But of all of the horrible stories to come from the real-life characters of Life with Grandpa, there's one that is far and away the most horrific. The story of Davidito.
David is such a handsome boy, isn't he, girls? Would you like for David to show some of lessons?
Yes, Grandpa.
Are you all ready? There we go, David. You have the floor.
His real name was Ricky Rodriguez, and as a baby, he was taken in as Berg's son following Maria conceiving him with a man after a night of flirty fishing. And being David's first son, he was given the nickname Davidito. As for David Berg, he viewed this child as essentially a messiah. He began telling his followers that Davidito would one day save them from the apocalypse, causing Davidito to become a celebrity within the group, and worshipped as a religious figure when he was just a baby. Which explains why he was given so much airtime during Life with Grandpa, and why he was constantly being showered with gifts.
We want to give you a little surprise because you were such a good witness.
And for David and Karen, they wanted Davidito's life and childhood to be a guide for all members of the group, as they raised him in what they believed to be the perfect manner for a godly household. And so the couple and several other contributors documented the way he was raised, with daily journal entries that were published as weekly newsletters, and eventually turned into one massive book titled The Story of Davidito. And the family truly believed that this over 700-page book was the ultimate guide for parenting and showed the only proper way to raise a child. Though what it actually showed was just how badly Davidito was being abused. Davidito was described laying next to his new nannies, witnessing orgies involving his own mother, and being touched sexually by the adults around him, with these examples being presented through not only written stories, but actual photographs, with the adults involved having their faces removed and drawings placed over the top of them in order to hide their identities. The book was not only promoting sexual acts with children, but it was outright showing it, and showing it happen to Davidito. And because of this, we have a daily journal entry of all the abuse that this child suffered, starting when he was an infant. Despite all the heinous acts that had been going on within the family, they had up until this point gone virtually unchecked by the public eye. But the story of Davidito would prove to be the first domino to fall, as the book leaked to the press.
The cult children of God, Founded by Moses David Berg, he reportedly sanctioned sex among children.
This immediately became a news story all across the world, and it began shining a light on the family and its twisted beliefs. But despite all the constant news coverage, and the story of Davidito being tangible proof of the cult's horrible practices, there was still essentially nothing done to stop them, as very few arrests were ever made as a result, and even fewer resulted in convictions. So nothing was ever done to help Davidito. And so during his entire childhood and his early adult years, he stayed with the group. Though the older he got, the more he began to see the family for what they really were, and the constant pain that he was experiencing eventually made him want to just run away from it all. And so, in 1999, that's exactly what he did, fleeing to the United States in the hopes of starting a new life. Though this was easier said than done, and no amount of distance was enough to keep him away from his tortured past. At one point during his time in the United States, Ricky actually opened up about the struggles he was experiencing on a website made for survivors of the family. And there, he documented just how bad things really were for him and several others behind the scenes, living with Berg, appropriately titling the post, Life with Grandpa. It was apparent that he was haunted by this life that he tried to escape, as the trauma was an everyday cycle of hell, and he just couldn't take it anymore.
You know that sometimes the Lord likes to test our faith, to teach us patience, and to really make us pray? This is just what happened to me once, but...
Well, hey everyone. I want people to know that even though some of the things that I'm going to try to do are rather shocking and maybe not right in a lot of people's books, I want to explain some of the reasons behind it.
On January 7th, 2005, Ricky Rodriguez set up a video camera in his apartment and expressed his desire to kill his mother and other leaders of the group for all the dreadful things that they had done not only to him, but to all the other children, with his hope being that this would finally bring down the family once and for all.
My goal is to get those $6 volunteer, and then I can go to the next life knowing that, that I made a difference.
With Ricky going as far as to show off the various ways that he planned on torturing them.
I'm gonna have to make do. I got my drill here. Got lots of fucking duct tape.
God knows, He hears, He cares. He loves His girls and boys. He gives His very best to those who let Him choose the toys.
By this point, David Berg had been dead for years, though the family carried on with his mother, Karen Zerby, assuming full control, which explains why she was the primary target. And much like Berg, Karen spent most of her life in hiding, with Ricky being unable to track her down, though he was able to find Angela Smith, one of the nannies responsible for raising him, as well as one of his most prominent abusers, as she was even shown in the story of Davidito as him. At this point, Ricky was exhausted, and Angela was his last shot at getting intel to help him find his mother and finally carry through on his plans. And so, he invited her over for dinner, under the guise of rejoining the group.
I went home that night and tried to wait patiently for the next day, but the Lord still had more lessons that He wanted to teach me. This is what happened.
Before Ricky could even get the information he was looking for, something in him snapped, and midway through their conversation, Ricky grabbed a knife and stabbed Karen in the arm, and then slit her throat. He fled the area that night, driving for hours until he reached California, the place that years before David Berg had started the family. There, he called his ex-wife, professing to everything he did, saying that he did it mainly for his sister Techi, but he felt no better. In fact, he felt worse. And even looking back at the video, it's very obvious that this was something that Ricky didn't truly want to do, and instead he felt like he had to do it, to avenge everyone that the family had hurt.
I'm not trained. I don't know how to fucking do this. I don't want to fucking do this. God damn it.
And it was too late to take back what he did, and so he stopped the car in a dark parking lot, sat there for a moment thinking about everything that had happened during his painful life, and ended his suffering once and for all.
That's what these fuckers have done to us. They didn't actually, grab a knife and cut us up, but, man, they sure fucked up our brains. That's what it was at Grandpa and Mama's house. Literally or figuratively.
they're going down. So, with that happy thought, I shall leave you.
Ricky Rodriguez's death was devastating for the community of survivors of the family, and it caused shockwaves all throughout the family itself, as his final video was plastered all over the news. And though it didn't happen in the way he expected it or wanted it to, Ricky's life and death undoubtedly contributed to the decline of the family, and helped diminish the cycle of abuse within the group. Starting from the story of Davidito, the public pressure forced Berg to outlaw the widespread abuse that he once preached. And though it is believed that it never really came to an end, it was at the very least significantly reduced. And by the time the news began to cover Ricky's death, it proved to be the final wake-up call for many still within the group, as they finally began to see through the facade that had once controlled their lives.
Like Grandpa says, prayer is powerful. When we pray, things will happen and things will be different.
It's difficult to watch any of Life with Grandpa, knowing its history, its purpose, and the real people that it was inspired by. Though as soon as the media began taking notice of the cult, many members were made to purge the media that was sent to them that may be considered incriminating. And as a result, it appears that most of Life with Grandpa is missing to this day, and potentially destroyed forever. Currently, only 4 episodes have been recovered, and it's not even known how many more were released, or even what year the show started or ended. But considering how closely the show mirrored the book, it's possible that these potentially missing and destroyed episodes are much worse than the ones we have today. But despite not knowing the full extent of the show, it's clear that Life with Grandpa and the countless other programs that the family made did exactly what they wanted them to. They brainwashed an entire generation of the cult's children, and the effects were devastating.
But they become extremely agitated when we ask them about Moses David Berg's teachings on sex.
My little fish, your father described it as a routine obligation.
They don't have any sex, they're just kissing and hugging in bed. That's not sex. If you show it to other people, they don't understand. That's not supposed to be publicized. So many people hate, so many people think sex is wrong. So many people hate it. And we're just telling them the truth. We're just telling them it's not wrong. We're just telling them that there's nothing wrong with it. And here come these publicizers doing them to everybody.
Between the strange content from the program itself, its obvious attempts at indoctrinating kids into a cult that was only ever going to harm them, the real-life people behind the characters, and the fact that this propaganda was so effective, I have no doubt that Life with Grandpa is the darkest children's show that I've ever come across. Though, shockingly, there's somehow one more layer to the story that makes this program even more disturbing.
And now, here's the exciting ending to this story.
One thing that we haven't discussed yet is who is actually the one behind the creation of the show. There's no doubt that it's David Berg's stories and was probably done at his request, but who is the one actually making it? Well, unfortunately, most of the people who worked on the show have their identities hidden by only using their first names, or even using straight-up aliases, so I could hardly find any information on any of them, with the exception of one, Peter Puppet. Peter Puppet was sort of a celebrity within the group, being responsible for numerous puppet shows, including one called The Lovettes, which was actually far more popular than Life with Grandpa, and was even supposedly broadcast on TV in the Philippines, with the show being a disturbing rabbit hole in its own right.
Would you like to hear a story? Well then let's go see Grandpa in the garden. Hello, children. So nice of you to visit us in the garden today.
But Peter Puppet owned this group, and was in charge of the Lovettes team, and coincidentally, the Lovettes just so happened to be credited as the producers of Life with Grandpa. So Peter Puppet was, at the very least, one of the contributing creators of the show, and he also seems to be the one in charge of performing the actual musical numbers on the show, as they featured puppets that belonged to Peter and the Lovettes team, with these segments interestingly being credited to an unknown man named Peter Pioneer. It's not a concrete link, but it's clear that Peter Puppet had a role in the show's creation, and helped push the family's disturbed ideology onto hundreds of kids across the globe. But during the creation of Life with Grandpa, it seems his own beliefs were being tested. In the beginning of the video, we saw an example of the family's view on doctors.
Surely a doctor would have stitched it. but our God is still a God of miracles. Praise the Lord.
This sentiment was really common in the family, as Berg outright forbade any medicine or surgeries of any kind, instead preaching that miracles from God were the only way to heal. And because of this, many members of the family with chronic ailments or fatal illnesses were basically left to die. And one of those left suffering was Peter Puppet. His life is almost entirely a mystery, as he lived in hiding in one of the family's compounds, but according to some of the group's members, one day he noticed something in his neck, a small lump. And over the next few weeks and months, it began to slowly get bigger and bigger, to the point that Peter had to go visit a doctor in order to see what was wrong. And it was there he learned that inside of him was an aggressive tumor that was only going to get larger. The good news was the tumor was actually operable and could be removed with little risk to his life. But the bad news was surgeries were against the family's beliefs, and so he turned it down, instead opting to go back to the compound to pray the tumor away with the other members. This, however, never happened. Instead, the mass began to grow at an even faster rate, to the point that those around him could notice it, eventually leading to Peter hiding away in his room, away from the others, not wanting to be seen. However, at some point during his struggle, a photograph was taken, showing the entire compound he was living in. And in the background, we see Peter, whose neck is impossibly large. From here, it said that Peter began to beg the family to take him to get this surgery, as the tumor was quite literally suffocating him slowly, turning him against the very beliefs that he once forced upon so many children over the years. But the family forbade it, insisting that he wait for a miracle that was never going to come. With nowhere else to turn, Peter Puppet supposedly ended his own life shortly after this photograph was taken, adding the final pillar of context to Life with Grandpa, a program that can only be described as the darkest children's show ever created. It's 3:16 p.m. on April 10th, 2018. A 911 operator receives a call from 16-year-old Kyle Clunch, who had just experienced a freak accident. In the minutes prior to this call, Kyle had just arrived at the Seven Hills School in Cincinnati, Ohio for a tennis match. He had been driving a 2004 Honda Odyssey, a minivan that featured 3 rows of seating, with his gear for the day's match being stored in the very back. In order to retrieve it, Kyle climbed to the back of the vehicle and reached over the third-row seating, extending his body as far as it could go in order to grab his equipment, when suddenly, the seat's folding mechanism was engaged, causing it to collapse into its storage position, taking Kyle with it. In an instant, he was pinned and completely unable to move as he was now trapped in the car upside down, not even being able to move his arms and hands enough to grab his cell phone, though luckily his phone had Siri, which he would call out to call the police.
Hello? 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 Where are you? Hello? Where are you? I can't hear you.
While on the phone, Kyle couldn't hear anything given how far away he was from the device, but he stated as clearly as he could that he was in dire need of help. Due to the position he was stuck in, he was already struggling to breathe, and he knew he was likely not going to survive much longer, which he made very clear to the operator. Less than 1 minute later, the call would cut out. In the recording, Kyle clearly portrayed to the operator where he was, that he couldn't hear her, and that his life was in danger, which prompted her to immediately send a patrol car over to the school in search of him, though inexplicably, she never told the officers that Kyle believed he was going to die. Not understanding how dire the situation was, the officers that pulled up to the scene didn't even bother to stop the car. Instead, they simply drove throughout the parking lot, unsure of what car was Kyle's. They didn't even bother to turn down their music or crack a window. Seemingly being more interested in the types of cars that other students were driving. As officers continued their half-hearted search, another phone call would be made to 911. It was Kyle, whose tone was now drastically different.